How do you do? It is Soup and Meatballs morning. It's Saturday. This was like the second Saturday in a row where the guys are out here doing their thing. Tim, how was your week, man?
Pretty good. We were talking before we went live just now that I was able to finish Stranger Things, so we'll be talking about that today.
Thankfully, goodness. I don't know if I can go another week.
How was your week?
Good, man. Tim, I'm looking at you. Derek tried out for the district. I think we're in District 7. I don't know how they break up bands, but he tried out for the District 7 Jazz Festival, and there were 13 trombones that tried out, and I think he said they took 8. Okay. He was the first one they took.
All right, Derek.
That's like super awesome. And we did the state jazz tryout. That was a video we had to send in. We did that over Christmas break. We're going to hear about that in 13 days. That's January 30th. So we'll see. But otherwise, I mean, I think I had a good week. I had a rough last couple minutes though. I mean, before you popped on, I was doom scrolling through Facebook trying to find a better trivia list for you. And I saw this post on one of these baseball groups where some guy said that Brian Giles was a better offensive player than Tony Gwynn. And one of the comments was great. It said Brian Giles wouldn't take Brian Giles over Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, that just shows you there's a real drug problem in America.
Either that or too many people are online giving their opinions about sports.
And it's funny because, and I say this while we sit here on a podcast where we share our sports opinions.
You got it, my man.
But, hot take culture breeds some of the worst hot takes, where people want to be like, hot take, don't at me, but the 2003 Minnesota Timberwolves were better than the 96 Bulls.
Just saying,
People just want to say stuff to say stuff. It's like the worst conversation in a bar full of the most obnoxious people.
Yeah, that's the internet now. And here we go.
So, yeah, apologies to Brian Giles if you're watching.
Yeah,
you were a great player, but
you were
Tony Gwynn.
Come on, yeah, that's just silly. It's not the LeBron Michael argument that's old and tired, but at least there's an argument there. I think on either end.
Yeah, this is like LeBron Craig Hodges.
Yeah. Craig Hodges was a really good 3-point shooter, better than Michael in the contest. But come on.
Yeah. What are we doing?
All right. Well, we're going to talk about football first because the NFL playoffs are in full swing, and this weekend one of the better weekends in the football calendar. I think divisional playoffs, the top 4 teams in each conference, games at night with potential for extreme cold. Snow, really cool stuff. Let's go in order. Today at, 4:30, I guess.
4:30 and then prime time.
Buffalo is at Denver. And I guess, this is where we're going to find out if, the Denver defense is as advertised because Josh Allen is a playoff tested somewhat quarterback. He hasn't won the big game, but that big game isn't in the playoffs anymore. So with Kansas City sitting at home, Buffalo at Denver, can Buffalo get over the hump or does Denver go
on? I really like Josh Allen a lot, both as a quarterback and just, on a human level.
All around good guy.
But I picked Jacksonville last week for a reason, and I'm picking Denver again. I just don't think there's a lot on that team. From the times I watched them, mostly like when they had primetime games, I was just like, this is not a good team, like not a great team. They're a good team, but they're not a great team. At times they looked like the Cleveland Browns with, but they had the best quarterback in the league, where Josh Allen, was really keeping that team afloat. I know I keep making the point, and I'll make it again. I think this is going to be a defense-driven postseason, and Denver and Houston have the 2 best defenses in the AFC, and that's why I'm going to be taking them for the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I can't. I have a hard time arguing with you, so I won't. Buffalo, you're right. They don't feel like the Buffaloes of the past, if that makes sense. They fell behind last week, and I don't know if you end up falling behind Denver, coming back against that defense it's less likely, especially that defense at home.
Yeah.
Denver at home they're really good anyway, but especially at home this year.
Yeah, and the other thing that makes Denver a dangerous team is that, the book on Denver was that, great defense, but Bo Nix was going to be very up and down. And he's been a very consistent quarterback from Halloween on.
And I think
they're not winning in spite of Bo Nix.
I think if you look at the numbers, I'm a number guy. If you look at R.J. Henry, the Buffalo Bills run defense is not good. And I think even if Bo Nix doesn't have a great game, I don't think he needs to have a great game. I think Denver can win this game sloppily. Like, he could throw 2 interceptions and Denver can still win this game by double digits. They could still win the game 13-3. I think Buffalo will probably score more than 3, but my point is, if Harvey has a good game rushing against that rough rushing defense, then the Denver defense will carry them into the next round. I think that's a safe bet.
I think that's the kind of game we're going to see, where Denver is going to try to, and I think they will succeed with ball control and defense. And I think we could see something along the lines of like 20-13, 20-17.
I had 17-10 written down. But
yeah, I think we see under 40, over under, I'd set it like 39.5.
What's the line actually right now, according to the worldwide leader? 45.5 over under. I think that's a safe under bet.
Yeah, bet that under. That seems a little skewed.
Denver also only giving 1.5
at home.
Yeah, that means they think Buffalo's better.
Yeah,
right, because you get 3 for home field. Is that the thing? I don't know a lot of gambling.
Yeah, typically home field is good for automatic 3 points. So if the home team is anything less than a 3-point favorite, Vegas is saying on a neutral field the home team would lose.
That's right now, though. Let's see. Opening line, Bills, Broncos. What did it open at? The opening line was 1.5, because I thought, the line shifts as bettors bet to try to balance things out. So it didn't move. That's so weird to me, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very surprising.
That's the early afternoon game. Tonight in Seattle, we have another 6 seed. The 49ers are at the Seahawks, and this one, the Seahawks are 7-point favorites here. I think Philadelphia would have been a better game. I think for everyone, Philadelphia would have gone to Chicago, but I think the Rams Seahawks would have been an awesome game that I hope we don't get to see. I don't know if the Seahawks are really challenged by San Francisco. What do you think?
I think the biggest point of intrigue here is Sam Darnold's health. I haven't seen anything definitive saying that he will or won't play, just that he was being held out of practice with, I believe it's his calf. And so it's surprising. I would think the lines would be flip-flopped, where Seattle would be the one that's a tentative home favorite with the quarterback situation up in the air. And
I
Denver
can see
would
that.
be a 5-point favorite. But
the reports are that Sam Darnold will play despite the injury. Optimistic. It's how much he needs to drop back on the calf versus hand the ball off. George Kittle being out is a bummer. You texted me last week, even like during the Eagles game, like, man, this sucks because George Kittle's such a cool guy. Like, really, you drafted him to be one of the media guys from current players. Like, because he's a guy you root for, and he is such a good tight end and such a big weapon. Losing that for Brock Purdy is a problem. Just all of the extra work McCaffrey's going to have to do to try to keep Seattle or keep San Francisco in this one. I don't know if he has it in him.
And with Kittle, you know, and you don't always get this with pass catching tight end of his caliber, but he's also such a good blocker. So you lose that aspect.
Yeah, so Michael McCaffrey has to, find. I don't know if running inside the tackles is going to work for them. I guess we'll find out. The other, I wrote this down from the preview I saw. Seattle's running game. Kenneth Walker has 18 carries where he has 10 or more yards. So this is one of those things where if Darnold takes a sack, we'll say, and it's 2nd and 15, you're not in a position where you're, what's the word? Like, what's coming up next. You're not you don't have to be predictable, right?
Right.
If Darnold's having a rough game, he's a big play running back. Big play running back in playoffs. They're hard to scout. They're hard to game plan for. So I like Seattle big. What did I write down? Where's my I said give me Seattle 28-12. So that's a 2-3 score game to me.
Yeah, I think Seattle wins by double digits. I would say, again, depending on quarterback situation, something like 27-13, something like that.
That's no fun.
Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't try to flex out and make. I think Denver-Buffalo is the more intriguing matchup, especially with the drama of can Josh Allen, as he gets close to 30, can he get to the Super Bowl finally?
Today, for today's games, honestly, I think the next game, the third game chronologically, I think that might be the premier game. Houston traveling to New England. You've got the number one defense against this MVP candidate quarterback, Drake May. And we're back in New England in the playoffs in the divisional round. I don't know what the weather is going to be like there, but it's probably going to be cold, which to me says I think Stroud's going to struggle. He didn't look good. I don't think he looked good last week.
Yeah, he turned it over like 4 or 5 times.
It was a defensive battle, as we thought. And what was the final score? I didn't have that written down because I'm a terrible
30.
person. It wasn't as bad as the final would have made you believe. 30-6, like 30-6. Man, Pittsburgh just got crushed. No, it was 7-6 going into the fourth quarter, where there were how many defensive touchdowns for Houston?
Right.
Like, this game was close. Pittsburgh, we had Jason Macco on last week talking about this is how Pittsburgh's going to win, and going into the fourth quarter, it's 7-6, and I'm like, how is he going to be right? How is this possible? And then the defense took over. But you can't play like that in New England if you're CJ Stroud. I don't think.
Yeah, and I think the key to this game is, and it's no great insight, but May is making his first playoff start, and he's going against the best pass rush in the NFL, who, like you said, basically went out and won that game in the fourth quarter last week against Pittsburgh. So it's how well May handles the rush, how well he's able to look downfield in the face of the rush, and how well a leaky Patriots offensive line is able to just give him some time.
Yeah. So what they wrote down, the left side of the Patriots line, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson both played against Will Anderson in the SEC. And Will Anderson in the SEC got the best of them more than one time. And I don't know how banged up the line is, but yeah, the defensive line for Houston is still scary. And I hadn't thought of the whole first playoff game storyline, but you don't know what you have in the playoffs until your first game, and it's at home for May. That's a big thing. You don't have to go on the road. I think Stroud on the road, I feel more confident with May than I do with Stroud, but I feel a lot more confident with that Houston defense. It's hard for me to not pick the home team here, and it's also hard because you said you're picking Houston.
I am. I feel like New England is still at least a year away.
Man, I wrote down, call me crazy, but Houston with the upset 13-6. I'm gonna switch just because Well, no, because I'm pretty sure we have the next pick different because I'm going to be a homer. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston won. I also wouldn't be surprised if New England won. This is a true toss-up. What's the line on this one? -3, and
so it's flip a coin.
That's a coin flip, yeah. I think this – I'm surprised this wasn't the Saturday night game because that's usually the marquee game, right?
Yeah. I think –
put Buffalo at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Put the Niners first because that's going to be a – well, I guess they don't want to lead with that because that has potential to be the worst game.
I still think if we're talking about just for potential entertainment value, a real quick confidence pool about what I think will be the most entertaining game. I think Houston, New England, especially for people who love defensive football with two defensive-minded coaches like Mike Vrabel and DeMeco Ryans.
I agree.
I think Buffalo, Denver is the second most compelling. I think Chicago and the Rams.
I'm a fan, so that's higher for me.
Right. And then I think Seattle, San Francisco is just like wolf.
So if we're the network execs, because they don't announce where teams or when teams are playing until after the division round is set, like what goes into that thought process? Like, we don't want to lead with the worst game, but let's get the worst game out of the way early. But I always thought 8 o'clock tonight was the marquee game, the big primetime game. Even with the holiday Monday, people would stay up. The football party, if you're having one tonight. You're not having one tomorrow, right?
Right. And so for scheduling these games, you also have to take into account travel, and you have to take into account the logistics of Houston just played on Monday, so you're not going to put them on it.
I'm a TV exec. I don't care about that. I care about how many people are going to be watching that box and putting ratings on my schedule. That's what I care about.
So if I'm thinking like a TV executive, I want to have, honestly, Denver, Buffalo as the primetime game tonight because Josh Allen's the biggest star still alive. And then, again, thinking like a TV executive, you have Saturday Night Live's coming back from the break with a new Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things is going to be hosting with A$AP Rocky. So you want eyeballs going from the football game. I gotta stay up.
I didn't think of the lead in. I like that.
Yeah, guys our age who will fall asleep after Weekend Update.
Weekend Update? You think I'm making it that far? That's adorable. That's adorable.
12:15. I'm not staying up for Colin Jost and Michael Shea.
Dude, I'm asleep probably by 10:30 tonight. Let's be honest. Which is a good thing. A good thing because tomorrow night, the final divisional game is the one I have the most interest in. The Rams going to Chicago, and it can't be cold enough. The predicted weather, single digits. I don't know how much, if any, snow is there. I don't know if the weather is going to be enough to help Chicago. What I will say is, they wrote this down, Matt Stafford has never played in a game where the temperature was below 20 degrees at kickoff. Stafford said the cold weather is going to be an issue for both teams. You just have to go out there and execute. I don't think the weather is going to be an issue for both teams. Chicago's played in it before, and I love Blake Corum. I love him more than my luggage. The other Rams running back, I think his name is Williams, they're really good. The Bears have two running backs that I think are a better tandem. If it comes down to just straight running, I think the Bears have a good shot here. I really do.
Yeah, and I can say this as someone who doesn't have a horse in the race. I think Chicago is the feel-good story of any of the 8 teams that are left. I think America is rooting for the Bears.
I'll take all the help we can get. Here's the thing: if the Bears defense shows up like they did in the first half against Green Bay, the Rams win this by 40. It's not even close.
That's the problem.
If they play like in the second half, they've got to, and I see the best they can do is they have a shot. That's what you're hoping for. Have a shot.
That's the problem with Chicago is on defense, they're so inconsistent and they're so reliant on getting those turnovers, which you can't always depend on.
No, it's like hitting the home run in the playoffs. They were able to pick Love, and they did just enough and Green Bay made enough mistakes. I don't know if Stafford makes those mistakes. I don't know what the LA kicking game is like. I know that Jared Verse is somebody that Caleb Williams needs to be aware of because he's on the left side, and the Bears' best offensive tackle is their right tackle, Darnell Wright. I'll tell you what I think in a weird sense, I think Ben Johnson opening up the playbook and doing all kinds of weird and wonky stuff against Green Bay, I think he was trying to throw some weird signals at McVay, like, hey, look at all these shiny, flashy things we can do, all the while knowing in the divisional round in Chicago, it's 16 degrees below zero. You're going to hand the ball off to Swift. You're going to hand the ball off to Monangai, and you're going to try to keep Matthew Stafford off the field. I think that's one of the easiest ways you can help this defense. Hold the ball for 38 minutes.
And that's incredibly funny to me that we have these two young, innovative offensive minds facing off against each other. And, it might as well be the 1958 championship game for as much as they might have to run, in 10-degree weather with Chicago wins.
Yeah. But if it wasn't the wins, the other thing that at least makes you feel like, again, I just want to feel like they have a chance. Bryce Young had a good game against this team. Let's not pretend the Carolina Panthers were good this year at 8-9. They had the Rams on the ropes in Carolina. So the Rams on the road, that was across country.
That's the thing for all the talk by the pundits about how the Rams are the most complete team in football. Based on what? They're the best offense in football. They have a great young defense, but they go to sleep for long stretches during the game where it feels like they keep teams in it when they should be putting them away.
Yeah, well, the Bears have I think 9 comeback wins this year, which is again, you're hoping the magic keeps going. You can't keep relying on that, like you said. I hope they have one more batch of magic in. I remember what was the year? Was it 2006 when the Bears went to the Super Bowl? What year was that?
07 with Rex Grossman?
Was it 07? Okay. I remember the nerves against the Saints in the conference final or the conference championship game. And every single talking head, what's your prediction? Saint. And when the Bears actually won that game, it was really cool to be able to say, you were all wrong because you just were. That everybody that I've seen, at least online here, except for one person, whoever this Solak guy is, picks the Bears. Everybody likes the Rams by at least a touchdown. I'm going to go with the Bears 28-24. Bear down, go to the division champion, go to the conference final.
Yeah, and like what you'd said about the Chicago run to the Super Bowl, that for me, that's like what the Eagles did with Nick Foles, where they were underdogs at home in every round to get to the Super Bowl. And each week they would get the win and they'd pull out the dog masks. And
yeah, that's the kind of stuff that builds a locker room. If you've seen the locker room footage of Ben Johnson's a big kid, man. I think these players would run through a brick wall on fire for this guy. I really do.
And, yet having said that, I do have to take the Rams.
Yeah, you said that. And at least we have something different to go off of.
Yeah, just because, and this is a pick where it's purely on paper. They call the Rams the most complete team for a reason. They're very talented. They're very well coached. I can't. I'm not going to fight you. It's they're 3.5 point favorites for a reason. The one thing I can say though that will make me feel slightly better is we're not good at this. No. We're very stupid.
You had asked for this, and I went back. I found the show that we did our preseason predictions, and what I did is I made a spreadsheet because that's what I do, and I calculated how many wins we missed by. So one of us was off by 94, the other was off by 90. So we were both equally good or bad. I don't know if 94 and 90 are good. But are you ready to see how we did?
Yeah, well, look, we know you nailed the Bengals pick.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, as far as nailing picks, Tim, you nailed the exact records for both Los Angeles teams. You had the Chargers at 11-6 and the Rams at 12-5, both on the dot. I said the Texans would win 12. I had the Falcons winning 8 and the Raiders winning 3. So I had 3 on the dot.
Okay.
Let's see how we did, though. I start in the AFC East, and our predictions are on the top of the screen. Down at the bottom there, those are the actual records. We both had Buffalo, New England, Miami, New York in that order. We just had the top 2 flip-flopped, and really it was still close at the top. I had the record right, just the wrong team.
I had a lot of confidence in Justin Fields, apparently.
Yeah, when I was going back and listening to that part of the podcast, I was appalled at your belief in the Jets.
Well, you
can see I thought they were a 2-win team.
In my defense, I thought they'd get at least 1 interception this year.
Yeah, and that's definitely the problem there.
That's the only problem. That is the only problem that I can see. They've already got the coach and the quarterback, right?
Yeah, let's just get the defensive secondary. We travel to the AFC North, where amazingly I had the Bengals at 12-5, and it hurt. I think I really wanted to pick them 15-2. They somehow only won 6 games there. This was a division we both had exactly the same again, but there was a lot of mishmash in the top 3, it looks like.
Yeah, and, even now, months later, I don't hate these picks, even though they aren't right. Like, to think that Baltimore would run away with that division was the logical conclusion. This graphic shows you why we watch football.
Yeah,
because this is how it should have played out.
This is we're talking about baseball here in a little bit, but this is kind of what baseball needs. I think this is going to happen, but by the way, Cincinnati not a 12-win team somehow.
Yeah, at this moment, I'd pick the Dodgers to win the AFC North.
I would have picked the Dodgers to win the AFC South as well. Based on, I thought Houston was going to absolutely run away with this division. Both of us had Indianapolis doing poorly, but nobody had Indianapolis on a 6-1 tear to start the year.
Yeah.
Both of us liked Houston. You liked Tennessee a lot more than I did.
I thought Cam Ward could potentially be not quite what Jaden Daniels was as a rookie.
That's what you said during the podcast.
Yeah.
Records are close, but
I still think Cam Ward can have a very good career in this league.
I don't disagree. The AFC West, 15-2 for the Chiefs. They went 6-11. Wow. I think that was my biggest. You were off by, I think it was 9. That was the biggest issue for me. You had a lot more faith in Vegas than I did. I hit Vegas, boom, right on the dot. I should win something for that.
I figured Pete Carroll was good for at least a few more wins. I was shocked when the Eagles played the Raiders, how bad the Raiders were. It was shocking.
They were bad. Geno Smith is not good.
No. And for a coach of Pete Carroll's caliber to already be gone.
He lasted one season there.
Yeah.
That's, it's a win now league, and Pete Carroll is 97 years old. So there's that. Denver, neither one of us had, again, another division we had the same 4 in a row. I don't know if it changes in the NFC. No, we went Philly, Washington, Dallas, New York. You liked New York a little more than I did. I had them with 1 win, and I listened to myself talk back then, and I'm going through all these teams that they shouldn't beat. They didn't beat a lot of the teams I didn't think they would beat. They got a couple extra, though.
And, this is one where it's a little skewed where, there's no accounting for injuries.
Correct.
So, Jaden Daniels banged up for most of the year, and then they lose Tuiasa Sopo as the backup, and they're playing with, a third stringer for, November and December. It was hard to see that Washington was going to go from the conference championship to just decimated.
I didn't expect them to make the conference championship again. 11-6. I think that put them in the playoffs. I don't know if I don't think I have a playoff prediction. I know, did I write this down? I had Buffalo over Detroit. You had Buffalo over, oh, shucks, who was it? You might have had Buffalo over San Francisco. I'm not sure.
I might have had Philly.
It might have been Philly. But either way, both of us at Buffalo winning it all. We're still alive in that one. NFC North, you didn't have a lot of faith in Chicago, but my 10-7, I said, was optimistic. I really expected them, I think, to be 9-8. Neither one of us saw 11-6. I thought this was going to be the strongest division. It looks like you did too. It was pretty close.
Yeah. I missed the boat on Minnesota and JJ McCarthy, though.
Well, Minnesota did better than I thought they would. I thought they were the big step back team. But not every team in this division was over 500. Nobody accounted for the Dallas-Green Bay tie. That's disappointing. We should do better next time.
I'll have to keep that in mind for next year's predictions.
NFC South. Oh, woof. You had two teams over 500, so I did better. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay had won the division what 5 years in a row?
Yeah. And they were tied for first. They lost in a tiebreaker. So
right. I thought Carolina was going to be really bad this year, and
you had them at 7-10. I had them 3-14. How bad was I?
Well, I remember just thinking like Carolina is like they're going to get 2 wins over New Orleans because they're not New Orleans bad. And then even New Orleans was a little bit of a surprise. They kind of in the second half of the season got competitive,
slightly below average at 6-11. But there's our NFC South. Out west. This is where the teams are really, really good. 14-12 wins at the top, and then both of us really we gave Arizona one more win than they deserved.
Yeah,
I didn't like Seattle at all, though. What was I thinking?
I didn't either. Sam Darnold coming in off of the Minnesota situation. The Rams had given the Eagles a scare in the playoffs last year. It felt like they were going to build and still might be toward a Super Bowl run. I just thought this was going to be a lot like Baltimore, where the Rams were going to run away with it.
Yeah. So amazingly, if you look at the totality of our predictions, what I find interesting, your best division overall, meaning like your overall difference in wins was the lowest number, the NFC East. You were off by 9. My best division, the NFC North, where I was off by 8. And that just happens to be where our favorite teams play.
Yeah. So who got the 94 and who got the 90?
You got the 94. I got the 90. Your worst division hurt you more than my worst division. Your AFC South number was 18. My AFC North number was 16.
You win this round, Max.
Barely. We'll see who makes the Super Bowl. My Detroit pick is already out. Your Philadelphia pick is out. So both of us are hoping for Buffalo, I guess.
We're still, if we ever need a graphic for our predictions, it should just be our heads on 2 monkey bodies, and we should just be flinging poo at the zoo.
It's Mr. Noodlehead when it comes to predicting. So there's that. We'll stay with the NFL for a little bit. 9 NFL coaching openings were open, and there still kind of are. John Harbaugh has been linked to the New York Giants, but he hasn't signed a contract yet. Yesterday, NFL insider Ian Rappaport of NFL Network says that a reporting structure is the holdup, not money. So it's how the front office or the organization is kind of set up, which makes you feel, if you're a Giants fan, if Harbaugh wants things structured a certain way, you got to be feeling pretty good about that, I think, going forward. And I think the contract is going to be a big contract. I think money is going to be fine. But as an Eagles fan, this is not something you're looking forward to, I imagine.
Don't love it. No, sir. I think I was texting you where I feel like once Joe Shane is out of New York as GM and Harbaugh maybe gets a little more say in
well, it sounds like that might be soon if that's the holdup.
Right. As an Eagles fan, I can only hope that the holdup is that Harbaugh is like, I want Joe Shane to be signed to a lifetime contract.
And I will listen to whatever he says.
We were just talking about how stupid we are with predictions, but my gut feeling tells me that Harbaugh could be a real thorn in the side for the Eagles.
I don't think that's not a hot take. He's a proven winner.
But I feel like he can. It's hard to say that he'll win 3 rings like Andy Reid's done in Kansas City, but I think he's Andy Reid.
I don't think Jackson Dart is Patrick Mahomes, so he's I think Jackson Dart's a potential good quarterback, but that kind of marriage in Kansas City, it was magic at the right time.
Quarterback situations in the NFL are so in flux that when Andy Reid got to Kansas City, Alex Smith, I believe, was still his quarterback.
Yeah, he was.
So who even knows if we'll be talking about Jackson Dart as the guy in 3 years?
You know what New York has, though, that John Harbaugh really, really likes? A really bad defensive line.
Yeah.
I think that was, if you're John Harbaugh and you're looking out at the landscape and you see that, and you've got a quarterback and there's room to grow offensively, I really think that was a juicy. I don't see him backing out, and there was talk that maybe Green Bay would move on from Matt LaFleur, and that would have worried me as a Bears fan. I'd rather LaFleur in Green Bay than Harbaugh, but I think that the defense in New York was very enticing, and I think that contract eventually gets done. I don't think there's much to worry about there.
Even as an Eagles fan, if I would be giving advice to John Harbaugh, it would be, show Joe Shane the door, and then maybe think about buying real estate in New Jersey instead of living in the city. Maybe Montclair, commutable distance to East Rutherford.
It's probably what he ends up doing.
Yeah, the Garden State's gorgeous, John. Really, just North Jersey. Think about it.
Settle in. And speaking of John Harbaugh, his longtime rival, for Steeler fans, close one for a while against Houston, but the playoff loss, mounting pressure from fans, Mike Tomlin steps down. And I don't know how much of it was, we're going to let you step down versus we got to let you go. But here's the guy who's never had a losing season. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Mike Tomlin is probably among the best 3 coaches the Steelers have had in the last, 60 years?
He's definitely top 3.
I don't know where Tomlin goes from here next year. But if he doesn't coach next year, he's the number 1 coach the year after.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the jobs look appealing to him. I think it'd be funny if he went to Baltimore.
You know what this reminds me of? Him and Harbaugh both leaving their positions after 20 years or whatever of these intensely contested head-to-head matchups. Do you remember in the Looney Tune cartoons when it was like Foghorn Leghorn and this sheepdog, and they'd be going at it, and then like a work whistle would blow, and they'd be like, and they'd go and punch a time clock and be like, "Morning, Sam," that's kind of what it feels like. It was all this bluster and sound and fury and competition, and now they're just like, oh, we're done. Yeah, well,
that's it.
Pleasure coaching against you. I'll see you in the funny papers.
Yeah, or Tomlin will see him when he starts coaching Dallas next year.
Well, Tomlin, and I saw a lot of the ESPN guys saying that they'd be surprised to see him coach, get a job in this cycle.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever. He'll do TV or, he'll be an Omar Epps impersonator for a year. And then, next year he'll end up in whatever 17. Situation. What's that?
Like the movie The Wood Part 17.
Yeah, if they reboot House, but they don't want to bring back the original cast, he can play Dr. Foreman.
Darnell Jefferson as a chiropractor after getting his degree.
But Tomlin's in such an enviable position because he can sit out, he can wait to see what jobs open up next year, and then he can just say, "Yep, that's where I'd like to go," and just hand pick his situation.
Yeah. What is tough now, and we had him on last week, and Steeler fan, I don't know how the last 19 years have like programmed them. As a Yankee fan, I get it a little bit. It's been like 37 years since the Yankees haven't had a winning season. But unfortunately now, if you're Pittsburgh, there's a fix. And I've written this out. I know how to fix the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are you ready?
I'm very ready.
Okay, this is going to be a minute, so lock in. Number one, first, you have to go into next season expecting to not be competitive for the playoffs. That's get that in your mind. You had 100 years of 500 or better. That's gone. You're in rebuild mode. Embrace the suck.
Yeah,
so to start with.
This is more like Cower taking over for Knoll than it is Tomlin taking over for Cower.
There you go.
There's going to be a bit of a rebuild.
I'm moving people. Get them out. Number one, what do you think I could get? What do you think I could get for TJ Watt?
Yeah, and I mean, what's Watt? 30, 31?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. That defense is so expensive, and the return on investment was so low.
So what would you give me? I'm going to call out. Dallas, terrible defense, needs a pass rusher. Jones, he's going to want him. What's Jones going to give me?
Jones is fond of the splash move and the quick fix.
I'm not going to get a first for him.
No, not at this age.
I think you're going
to get a package of picks.
Can I get a 2?
I think you can get a 2.
Because I'm taking a 2. And I think I can get a 4 as well.
I was just going to say, I think you can get a 2 in a later round, like a 4 or a 5.
Cool. So that's done. Gone. Next up, DK Metcalf. Gone. He cost me a second rounder. I think the best I'm going to get for him is a 3rd. So let's do it. Let's find a dance partner. Who needs a wide receiver? Buffalo? Kansas City? I don't want to trade with Kansas City just because, they're Kansas City, but I want to move Metcalf more than I want to avoid the Chiefs.
I'll tell you who might be in the market for DK Metcalf is Philadelphia, because it sounds like A.J. Brown's
on the outs.
That's trading one problem for another.
Either way, I think I can get a 3 for him. I don't think I'm not getting a 1. So I get a 3rd rounder for DK Metcalf, and I won't even get a toss-in pick. Next, 8-time Pro Bowler, secondary, Jalen Ramsey, out. He still plays at a high level. He's on the wrong side of 30. I get it. But I'm going to call Chicago. Their defensive secondary could use a guy like Jalen Ramsey. Can I get a 3rd? 4th? I can get a 4th rounder for him. So I'm taking the 4th rounder. So right there, I'm moving those people out. And with those picks, here is the Pittsburgh Steelers 2026 overall draft. We have listed on the screen there what I think I can get for Watt, Metcalf, and Jalen Ramsey. I'm not even giving the 4th pick for for Watt. I'm just going with the minimum what I think I can get. So going into this draft, I'm trading my 1st round pick as fast as possible. I don't care. I hope there's a team that thinks they can win now who's willing to do a pick swap. Like, you take my 1st this year for your 1st next year. And the first team I'm going to call is Indianapolis. Indy or Atlanta or Green Bay. Why? These 3 teams don't have a 1st rounder this year. So if you want to get into the 1st round, it's only going to cost you your 1st rounder next year and maybe a toss-in. Maybe I can get a 4th or a 5th or whatever. So that they're my first calls. What do you think?
I like this. Now, I'm curious. I mean, you can't bring Aaron Rodgers back.
No. Oh, heavens, no. No, if he wants to come back, he's not going to play. Mason Rudolph is my quarterback.
Yeah, Rodgers.
Or Will Howard. Give me Will Howard.
That's what I was going to say. You need a young guy who's trying to maybe make a name for himself, because Rodgers wouldn't want to play on this team.
No, you'll see when we get to the end of this draft, because we're not done moving. So I'm going to call one of those 3. If they don't want to pick, if they don't want to dance, I'm going to call teams that had down years that maybe think they can. I need a pick this year to help. Washington, Cincinnati, Miami, Dallas again, whatever. So I'm going to trade 21 for a 1st rounder next year, maybe a 4th or 5th, depending on who I'm trading with. Heck, maybe I can steal a 3rd if that team is really desperate. So number 1 is gone. I have pick number 53 in the 2nd round and whatever pick TJ Watt gets me. they're both gone too. I'm going to dance with somebody for another pick swap. Take this 2, give me a 2 next year. Take this, give me 53 for something next year and maybe a 6th, right? So I'm building up trade equity later rounds next year, depending on how high the Watt second is. Like if I dealt with Dallas, I don't know where they're picking in the second round. Maybe I could steal a 4th rounder for that pick as well, right? So either way, now we're out of the first round and we're out of the second round altogether. We don't make our first pick until Saturday. Are we good so far?
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So we have 3 third-round picks without trading Metcalf. Here's where the tanking draft stops for a second. We have pick 76, 85, 99 going into round 3, whatever pick Metcalf gives us. I'm going to take a really hard look at the offensive linemen, see how much I like them. If there's one I really want, he's coming at 76. If I think I could get him at 85, maybe I'd deal. But either way, I'm going to move 2 of those third-rounders if I can pick swap, and let's say I draft a lineman at 76, okay? So I move on from the third round, and I'm building up more capital next draft. Heading to the fourth round, we've got 121, 136, whatever Ramsey has given us in the trade. I'm going to look offensive line again. The other 2 we're going to put on the block. Those 2 stars, bing, bing, get them out. There's always a team looking to move up. There's somebody on their board that they're afraid somebody's going to nab. I feel very confident that I can pick swap my 4th for your 4th next year. You talk to a team like Vegas or somebody who has multiple 4th-round picks. They have some capital. We're taking it from them. And then in rounds 5, 6, and 7, we've got 4 picks. We're going to make them. We'll pick up somebody, linebacker, wide receiver. We're going to try to find somebody because Pittsburgh does that well. They draft well late. So there's 2026.
And you know, the other point I'd just like to make is how many guys fall to those rounds, just with how the internet has completely changed the way that small school guys can be better scouted. I mean, look at Puka Nacua was a 5th round guy.
There you go. So now, next season, whoever's coming in to coach, I need them to understand that this is the system. This is the process. And we're not going to tank, but we're not going to be good. Unless Will Howard comes in and is magical, I'm using this season to set up the next draft where I'm going to try to find my franchise quarterback. If we luck into 4 wins, that puts us around 4 or 5 in the draft. Not what I'm looking for. I'm really kind of hoping we bottom out and we get a top 3 pick. So we move on. There's the 2027 draft, along with all the trades that we've made.
I like the sound effect.
You like that?
Yeah.
So if we have a top 3 pick, and I mean like 1 or 2, depending on who the other team is, if they're looking for a quarterback or not, I'm hoping that maybe we can get Manning or Dante Moore. I think they're the 2 top quarterbacks coming in, or the hot quarterback that everybody has their eyes on. The rest of this draft, you can kind of see where the stars align. You know, if my pick is really bad and I get a top 3 pick, whoever I traded with last year, this is the Bears with Carolina. Remember, the Bears got their first round draft, their number 1 pick because they sucked. They got Caleb Williams because the Panthers sucked.
Right.
So maybe we get lucky, and like Indianapolis, who traded us there first, thinking they're going to have a good year, they have another down year, and they win 6 games. We get a top 10 pick here. That's the hope. I might move that to next year. I might pick it. I don't know. Those ones are really case by case.
You know, it's funny that in this whole model, I'll tell you what it reminds me of, and it's not even in the same sport, but it reminds me of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
That's the idea. Oh my God!
Trade away a seemingly valuable piece to a team that you say, "I bet you're going to suck in 2 years."
That's the hope.
we're gonna hit 3 cherries on the slot machine.
Yeah. Now you look at the second round. We've got 3 second-round picks. That's a lot. So we're gonna pick swap, and maybe if I trade one of the ones, maybe I don't trade it for a 1 next year. Maybe I trade it for a multitude of 2s down the line. So I'll trade you my 1. You give me 3 years of 2s and 2 years of 3s or whatever, right? Again, this is all hypothetical. I haven't run the numbers on money either. So after we move some of those picks, it looks like in that draft, I'm picking how many guys am I picking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm picking 9 and I'm trading 7. Here's the big draft. I've got Arch Manning. I've got Dante Moore. I've got my franchise quarterback. Look at all those picks that I've traded for. Look at that. I have 5 second-round picks potentially. That's ridiculous.
And so it's not only the opportunity to build depth, but those are also pieces.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody needs 5 second-round picks. But if you want to move back up into the first, because remember, we've traded Jalen Ramsey, we've traded TJ Watt, we've traded Metcalf. We need to replace them. Sometimes we just don't need to replace them next year. We've got to go through 1 year of awful growing pains. If Will Howard is not the answer, if Will Howard comes out like Bo Nix, though, and he's like, yeah, I'm a really good quarterback, that throws this into flux. I'm anticipating him to not be a good quarterback to get us a top 3 pick. But if he is, then all of a sudden we have a franchise quarterback, and we can start building around the pieces that we got rid of, and we get younger. But look at all the draft capital that you build up. It's the Thunder mentality right there. And this is how I would fix it. But I'm
two thoughts. First, when you talk about the scenario where, maybe you get lucky and Will Howard's good, that reminds me so much of what happened with the Eagles when they were done with the Carson Wentz situation. They were like, well, let's throw this Jalen Hurts kid in. And then Hurts takes him to the playoffs Sirianni's first year. He takes him to 2 Super Bowls, and you're like, oh, well, we didn't see that coming.
How about that? I don't think Will Howard is that, but, I look at this, and here's the thing. You need to have dance partners. And if the league sees what you're trying to do, you have 22 picks here in a 7-round draft. What you're going to have to do then is you're going to have to keep pick swapping and build up future capital. You could give either one of these quarterbacks 11 picks every year in a 7-round draft. You could steal 4 extra players every year for the next 10 years with this model if somebody dances with you this year and next year.
So I'm curious then, when you're looking at the coaching hire for this offseason, if you're the Steelers front office, what way are you going with that? Like, and not even like throw out a specific name, but what would be the template of like an offensive guy, a defensive guy? Are you looking at a college guy? Or are you looking
I want Kurt Cignetti.
You're throwing money at Cignetti.
Yeah, and here's what. Here's what. A, PA roots, but B, he's a college guy who knows who has his finger on the pulse of college football. You need for this to work. It's the Dallas Cowboy model of the '90s. You need Jimmy Johnson to come in to make the picks. You need someone who knows the kids now, and with advanced scouting, like it's very easy to do that. Anybody can come in, and you have to hit. I mean, like Johnson said, we had a lot of picks, but we hit on a bunch of them. You've got to hit more than you miss. But look at that. You have 22 picks. The odds that you miss more than if you miss more than you hit, then there is no fixing you. There's nothing you can do.
And it's funny you referenced the Cowboys because I was thinking it sounded like the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys after the Herschel Walker trade, or it sounded like the late 70s, early 80s Niners, and they just happened to hit on Montana, Rathman, Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott. But it was just because of sheer bulk of picks that they had from being so bad in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. And like you said,
Bill Walsh came in as a college guy who had his finger on the pulse from being at Stanford.
If Nakua is a 5th-round pick, I've got 4 picks in the 4th and 3 picks in the 5th. That's a lot of spaghetti you can throw against the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Steeler fan, but I think this is the way to fix the Pittsburgh. You need a franchise quarterback. And what their biggest problem was, because they were 500 or better, it was like the Bears of the early 2000s. You're not good enough to pick you're not bad enough to pick in the top 3, but you're not good enough to compete at the conference championship level. You have to either tail out or get crazy, stupid lucky that your defense carries you to a 2007 Super Bowl with Rex Grossman.
It's funny to me how at like 3 or 4 different points in the first hour, you and I have pointed out how stupid we are. And yet we're like, now here's my 20-point 10-year plan to fix the Steelers.
I wrote the script all out, and I'm using Excel to trade. So like right now the Steelers have like let me go back. What's their actual 2026 draft? I think they have. This is what they have without the yellow picks. So they don't have an extra 2, an extra 3, and an extra 4. They have a 1, 2, 3, 3. I think they have 3 third-round picks, 2 fourths. Like they're in good draft position this year. But I'm afraid that whoever comes in is going to just be tempted to, we've been 500 forever. We're this close we're there. We're a playoff team. You got to be like Seth Rollins. You got to burn it down in order to build it back up.
And it's funny because I think there are a lot of either casual football fans or Steeler fans of a certain age who don't realize how bleak those years post Noel or at the end of the Noel tenure leading into the Cowher tenure were.
Cowher wasn't good early.
No, like the only name you had on offense was, Louis Lips.
Louis Lips.
And they were like a perennial 6, 7, 8 win team through like 86, 87, 88 in the post
by sheer force of Greg Lloyd.
Yeah, it wasn't until they brought in some of the names that we remember now. But even then, they were winning with, Neil O'Donnell and Mike Tomczak.
Tomczak. So,
I do think this is the model. Like a 3-year window, patience.
I've seen mock drafts where Ty Simpson goes 21. I don't like that. No, he needs another year in the oven. Those cookies aren't ready yet. Yeah. We will see. Speaking of the oven gets pretty hot on Monday. We talked about it a little bit last week, but it's been either 10 days or 11 days for one of these teams till Monday night. I don't know if that's going to be a factor. I don't know if Miami being at home is going to be a factor. We have Indiana, we have Miami, a team that you're used to seeing in big games for all the marbles in college football, and the upstart Hoosiers, who I think, you talked about the Bears being America's team. I think a lot of people looking at the Hoosiers like, this is a feel-good story here, even if they have 15 wins, no losses, the Heisman Trophy winner, and maybe the hottest coach in college football.
Yeah. I was just staring at that graphic and just kind of being like, renewed disbelief that this is the national championship.
Indiana is 15-0. Yeah, that's nuts.
But you're right. Indiana is the feel-good story. Like they truly were just like the worst football program. Like not even like
program, not
yeah,
year after year,
habitually, yeah. Where they were so bad that like if you were to ask the average fan like who's the worst college football program in the country, they probably wouldn't even enter into your mind because they were such a non-factor afterthought.
My first thought, believe it or not, is Temple. But
yeah, like I
Indiana, I wouldn't have thought of because Indiana's in the Big Ten. They are. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like I'd be like, I don't know, Middle Tennessee State, or like I'd be at a loss.
Texas Tech, A&I.
And then as far as Miami, they were a team that impressed me in September, and then they fell apart. And now here we are, and
they're hot late. That's the thing. You get into the playoffs, you get hot. So in a game where I don't have the tail of the tape in front of me. If you have a close game, what's one thing you look for in football? Who wins what battle? There's 2 battles you want to win.
Field position and up front.
More specifically, like stat wise,
you want to have a higher score than the other team.
That's what's one. So top three stats you want. You want to win the turnover battle.
Yeah.
And what's the other? You want to have less of something else. I would have fewer penalties than you.
Oh well, yeah.
So what's amazing, all of the numbers.
I'll get 20 penalties, but I'll take the points. You win the penalty battle.
So here's the thing. If you look at all the numbers, rushing offense versus rushing defense, passing, they're very close across the board. There's one stat that isn't, and it's penalties. So of all the D1 schools out there, there's only 3 teams that are flagged fewer than Indiana. Do you have any idea who they are? Who do you think is more disciplined than Indiana? Think that way.
Oh, my God. I would just be throwing random names out there.
I think discipline in – that's the big clue right there.
Is it the military academies?
Army, Air Force, and Iowa, of all people. I think they just have the ball less. Miami, in total –
you have to be very patient, when you're waiting on the corn to grow. So you're not going to jump. Not a lot of false starts, not a lot of offsides.
No, not at all. So Miami, out of 136 teams, rank 113th. They get flagged on average 7 times per game. Indiana, 3. Yardage-wise, and because the number of flags are meaningless, yardage-wise, Indiana is second. Army gets about 21 yards per game. Indiana 25.6, whereas Miami gets 58 yards of penalties. Now, in a game that should be close, a penalty can extend a drive. It could turn third down into first down. It could turn first down into first and 20, and that changes an entire drive. That said, I think the feel-good story – 16-0 would be really cool for a Big Ten team. A third straight Big Ten champ. I'm going to take the underdog at home. I don't know why I'm going to pick Miami. I just think it's, being at home. I think Michael Irvin will sprinkle some halftime magic at them. Ray Lewis will pump them up before the game.
When you say sprinkle halftime magic, is that just a polite way of saying cocaine?
No cocaine.
Oh, okay.
You can
just wanted to clarify.
You can take the Irvin out of Dallas, but you can't take Dallas out of Michael Irvin. No. I think Carson Beck wins his 512th college football game and rides off into the sunset, or his next team. I don't know.
I think it's a really intriguing matchup because I think Miami has the more explosive, and it's funny to say it's about a team that's rolled to so many points as Indiana has, but I think Miami, just with that team speed, has more big play capability to just put up a lot of points very quickly. But I think Indiana's the more complete team. They're just obviously good offensively, but very good defensively and very good in the special teams games. And we saw it against Oregon.
You didn't see much again. They throttled Oregon, man. Oh my goodness! How do you pick against them?
I like Indiana here.
I don't hate that either. I don't feel good picking. I'm picking Miami just because they're playing at home, and I know it's not a home game, but
yeah, I like Indiana as the 7-point road favorite. Last I saw, they were like a 7.5 point favorite going to Coral Gables.
Doesn't shock me. So I'm going to pick the upset. We'll see. One of us is right. One of us is wrong. What does surprise me, though, I saw this story and I sent it to you. I don't know if you saw this. It was Tuesday. FBS coaches got together, unanimously voted to adjust the redshirting rules. So here's the way the redshirting rules used to be. You could play 4 games, and whether it was either through an injury, medical redshirt, or just any reason whatsoever, you could step back. Like, I'm no longer playing this year. I don't know what that does to you for practice situations, but you are no longer playing games, and you essentially keep that year of eligibility next year. Or I don't know. I think it's next year. They're adjusting that to 9 games. So I want you to look at the screen here, Tim, because this is what this means. This is the University of Michigan's 2025 football schedule. We did our predictions. We were close. That is freshman phenom Bryce Underwood. Under this new policy, we could take all of those games that got shaded out, and he could play those. He could say on November 14th, I'm going to take a redshirt year. and doesn't lose any eligibility. Now, I don't know what this does for a guy like Underwood, but like this has all kinds of NIL ramifications. I don't know if these kids are paid every week or how that money comes in, if they're being paid by the university. I think you look at a guy like Donovan McCulley, who came to Michigan from Indiana. He opted out after 4 games in 2024 to preserve that redshirt year. He gets 9 games now. I don't know if I like this, man. What about you?
I don't like it because it feels like an eternal loophole where you could just be John Belushi from Animal House and never have to leave. Like
I don't know how many red shirts you get. Like I think medical red shirts. Well, here's the thing: if let's say Underwood, hate for this to happen, but if Underwood gets hurt in the Purdue game, okay, medical red shirt. The next year, if he gets hurt in the Washington game, is that another medical red shirt? How many of those do you get? I mean, Cade McNamara's been playing college football since we were at Greeby.
Right, and that I don't know, and I don't know if the NCAA would take that on a case-by-case basis.
Unless you're Ole Miss, they probably will.
Well, but we're already seeing kids who are having 6 and 7 year college football careers. Oh God damn it!
I teach high school kids. I'm sorry, it's a habit. I'm trying to adult it out of existence. So I'm doing my part.
But they're playing for forever.
But they're getting paid now. Like there's no incentive to go to the league other than get me off my rookie contract faster. Get me that big payday faster. That's it. I mean, but honestly, if you're happy with the $3-4 million you're making, and you're like me, who like I can live on that. You give me $3 million right now, I could retire and probably live the rest of my life in my upper middle class happiness.
Right, and I think
I definitely could. I know I could.
I think for like a fringy player who's not going to be the blue chip guy, he's not going to be a first round.
Yeah.
I think I like this for that player.
Okay.
But just in general for the game, it just feels like another example of just the system being too unregulated.
I think there's a quick hitter about this, so I'm not going to get too far into the transfer portal, but like this is another step in. Listen, I'm all for giving the players power is the wrong word. I don't want to turn college football into the NBA. But it's going down a path where at some point it's untenable. And the 9-game thing is
that's where I'm with you, where I'm very much in favor of players having the agency to be like, if my coach can leave at any point in the season, I want to be able to pick where I go.
Cool.
And if I can make more money at this school the same way my coach can make more money at that school, I should have that option.
Well, that's the situation we're at now.
Right. But
I don't like bouncing year to year on these 1-year contracts.
Right. And that I think is a problem. But just that the option is there for some level of equity for the players, I'm very much in favor of.
Yeah. So there's that. Now, college basketball. This story is absolutely nuts to me. The NCAA has redshirting issues in football. On the hardwood, now this name I'm gonna struggle with. James Naji is a 7-foot center from Nigeria, drafted by the Detroit Pistons, 31st overall, 2023. His rights were then traded to Charlotte, then the Knicks, but he never played an NBA game. He did play professionally in Europe. He played professionally with FC Barcelona, but just a few weeks ago, he got eligibility from the NCAA to come back to school, where he now plays for Baylor, averaging 2.5 points and 4 boards in roughly 13 minutes per game. So, Tim, what happened here is the NCAA allowed a player who was drafted professionally by the NBA to suit up for a college team 2 years after he was drafted. Does this open some kind of weird rabbit hole now where if I'm a mid to lower round, first round pick and I don't like where I went, I want to go back to school? How much of this do we see going forward?
See, this is another tricky one to answer because, again, if if we were to just take someone who is an accounting major, and they're in college and they say, I think I have this job at a lucrative business, and it doesn't pan out, we wouldn't tell that accounting student, well, no, you don't get to go back to college now.
Yeah, but if the accounting major was drafted by PricewaterhouseCoopers, then that's where I'm at. Like, if you're not drafted, then yeah, go back to school.
Right, but if you're in a field where you do get headhunted and you go to pursue that opportunity, but you never work a day for that company, you should still have the option to be like, well, now I want to improve my profile to maybe get headhunted by another company.
I can see that. I could just see the issue where I don't know who I am, but I get picked by Milwaukee, and I don't want to go to Milwaukee, so I'm just going to go back to school. I don't know if Milwaukee can retain your draft rights, or if they should retain your draft rights, because I'm now looking at the professional end. I don't want NBA teams to be looking at these players in the same light that maybe major league teams look at players who have the opportunity to go to college or come to my team. Like, you have to recruit, like you get a guy like Garrett Cole, who was drafted by the Yankees, but he wanted to go to UCLA instead. And then he goes to the Pirates because the Yankees don't retain his rights.
Well, you may not want that, but I think we're already 2 miles down that road.
And we could back up, though, is what I'm saying. Put it in reverse.
I think it only feels weird because it's new.
I'm old, and new things frighten and scare me. They should frighten and scare you too.
Listen here, Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. We've been, living under this system in another sport that we both watch and enjoy. Now it's just going to start happening in basketball, and the NFL is powerful enough that I think they'll fight it tooth and nail in court. But this is the way of the future.
There it is. Yeah.
Now get off my lawn. Bring me a PBR.
Stay with college basketball for a second. Michigan lost. This team was just blowing dudes out like 30 and 40. I don't think any team has had as many top 25 wins of over 30 points in this Wolverine team. Yeah, but they just lost this week. A really, really surprising one to Wisconsin at home.
Yeah, they. I saw them 2 weeks ago on a random weeknight. They played at Bryce Jordan. I didn't go, but I was watching on TV.
Yeah. Penn State played them tight, and Penn State is not good.
Yeah,
they're 0-6 in the conference and just barely above 500.
I was really underwhelmed after like hearing all the stories about these, the streak of 100-point games and the wins over impressive opponents. And they when they beat USC a couple weeks ago, they started the game by keeping USC scoreless for the first 12 minutes or so.
Wow.
Yeah, like Dusty May's got some excitement around this program, but the way this team is built, and from what I've seen of them, the little bit I've gotten to watch them, they're not great from the perimeter. So if the defense isn't generating points, they're going to struggle in the half-court offense. And they're not always so reliable at the line. And so
that's been a Michigan problem for a lot of years.
Yeah, it feels like those issues will lead to losses like Wisconsin, and they almost lost to Penn State, and like this could very well be a number 1 seed that doesn't make the Sweet 16 because of it.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far, but
I'm just saying more surprising things have happened.
Hot take.
Let's see what Brian Giles thinks.
Yeah. Let's moving professionally. I don't know if I said it enough last week, but the Oklahoma City Thunder love it when we're on the air, man. They just don't lose. We're back on the air. They're on a 5-game winning streak. It's all us, right? It's all us, right?
Yeah.
How are we not on Oklahoma's payroll?
The spotlight fallacy is real. We think it's just all about. It's not Shea. It's not Chet. It's Tim and Max.
That's absolutely. And they played San Antonio on when was that? Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
It was an NBC game.
Yeah.
And like that was rare for me because I watched a couple minutes of it. Like, why is there a game on NBC on a Wednesday? That felt strange to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and they handled San Antonio.
That's a cool rivalry, and you got 1 and 2 in the West. I don't pay too much NBA attention until the playoffs. Even the Knicks are. They stink. They haven't won a game in what feels like a month. They're down. They're under the Celtics in the standings.
Yeah,
Celtics have been hot.
I know. I saw the Knicks the other night. They were playing without Brunson. The Celtics have been very hot. It feels like they've found their rotation. For the first 10 games of the season, it seemed like they were trying to find who are we without Jason Tatum, and who they are is a team where Jaylen Brown is averaging almost 30 points a game. They have Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Anthony Simons and just some really good guys around him. And then they've just got quality bench depth that brings interior defense and rebounding and good shooting.
Do you think they would have that? So they're 25-15 now. If they had Tatum, how does that change the chemistry dynamic in Boston?
If they have a healthy Tatum, I think, give or take a game or two, they would be the number 1 team in the East instead of Detroit.
They're not really on Detroit's heels. They're 4.5 back, but
and they play.
I like
Detroit,
what you said about the way everybody is contributing. I think a lot of Boston fans fully expected a down year, maybe a playoff appearance, maybe as 9 and 10 seed, but not where they're at right now.
No,
all that stuff coming together helps. I just wondered if Tatum was there, did they have that opportunity?
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect this. I didn't think Boston would be in a position to host a playoff series in April.
Or 2.
Right. Right now they would be the 2 seed. And, I think I'd said this is a team that would win 40 or 45 games. Now we're looking at a team that, if they keep playing the way they are, could win 50 games and be a top 3 seed in the East. Yeah. I don't think if we live in an alternate reality where Tatum's healthy, that it would throw off the chemistry too much, just because that's been their reality. They had to adjust to this new reality without him.
If you look at the numbers, best defense in the Eastern Conference, that doesn't hurt the cause.
Yeah, and that's a staple of a Joe Mazzulla team. Yeah. Any team that's coached by Joe Mazzulla is going to get after it on defense.
There it is. Well, I wasn't expecting to actually make this a full story. This was it should be a quick hitter, but no, you got to talk about this thing, man. Free agency in Major League Baseball sort of heating up. Spring training kind of right around the corner. We got a month away or so till pitchers and catchers report. And the whole Cody Bellinger hold up in New York, you kind of thought that might have been holding up Kyle Tucker. Well, the Dodgers said, we don't care about Cody Bellinger. We're going to just throw all kinds of money at Kyle Tucker, where he signs for 4 years, $240 million. Only 30 of it is deferred, by the way.
Yeah.
So he's going to go to LA and bat, 6th in that lineup?
Yeah.
Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Hernandez.
You're talking about an all-star caliber guy last year in Chicago.
Will Smith.
Teoscar. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Hernandez. Will Smith was number 5. I guess you put him up there. I might put Tucker ahead of him. But you're going to pay your number 5 or 6 hitter $58 million a year.
Right, to give you 25 homers and 90 RBIs.
Yeah, it's the defense too. Here's the thing: he hasn't been healthy the last 2 years. He's missed a bunch of games. When he's healthy, his numbers rival Juan Soto offensively, on base, power, slugging. All of it.
Yeah.
He's Juan Soto with a Gold Glove capable outfield glove. So $57 million, not a stretch for a healthy Kyle Tucker.
Right. And not just that, but and not just playoff experience, but World Series, like a champion. He's been to the mountain.
I now know how the rest of the league feels when the Yankees were throwing all kinds of money around in the early 2000s.
I was reading that
$400 million. I think the payroll is $400 million.
I was reading that guaranteed money for this 2026. The Dodgers are on the hook for $2 billion guaranteed in salary, and then a luxury tax of $400 million.
That's insane. $2 billion.
But baseball's broken, man.
Well, I mean, we'll find out how broken they are in December. In relative news, Bo Bichette is going to New York. The Mets, that is, 3-year, 126. It sounds like a bargain comparatively, a $40 million deal. I don't have any other numbers on.
Yeah, it sounds like because Bo Bichette has struggled to stay healthy. But, you look at him, he'll be at third base next to Lindor. And, if he can stay healthy, that's
it's a good lineup. It was a good lineup last year.
Yeah.
Staying healthy is the thing. Other news, man, Boston, you guys had both Boston and New York. They brought in some arms. You guys got one at a really big price. Ranger Suarez, the former Philly, was 3.20 ERA. Last year in 157 innings, 5 years, $130 million. What do you think?
I like it. I think this rotation is kind of shaping up behind Crochet now with Sonny Gray and now Ranger. This kind of softens the blow of Bregman walking away.
I think there's a good news, bad news situation here for you. Bad news right now, he's 30 years old. And he just signed a $130 million deal. He's never thrown 160 innings in a season. So you watch for that. But The good news, he is, if you make the postseason, 1.48 ERA in 43 postseason innings, the sixth best among any pitcher with 42 or more. So he can pitch in October.
I think that's what skewed my opinion is I see – just from living, in Northeast Pennsylvania, I see more Phillies playoff baseball, and I've seen him perform in October, and I'm like, I just have visions of him pitching in cold weather and doing it for the Red Sox.
Sure. So that's who's coming to Boston. New York gets a guy. We miss out on Tucker. We're probably going to miss out on Bellinger because we trade for Ryan Weathers. They sent 4 minor leaguers that most Yankee fans wouldn't have heard of unless you live near Bridgewater Township, New Jersey. But Weathers is a 26-year-old lefty. His ERA was just about 4 last year in only 8 starts because of a flexor strain. With Cole Rodon not going to start the year, this is like one of those classic Cashman moves where, you're not going to be really excited to hear about Ryan Weathers, but it's got the potential to be a really important signing. The good news on this guy, he's got a 97 mile an hour fastball. And if you look at the charts over his 8 starts, it was the second highest fastball velocity among lefty starters behind only Tariq Skubal. So
what's the timeline on Cole? When's he expected to be?
I want to say June, so I will. I think both him and Rodon are June appearances, and that Cashman will say, well, it's like making a trade without making a trade. There are free agents; they're coming in till they're healthy, till they go through their own spring training. I'm not into. I'd say mid-June, late June.
So it feels like this was something to just like tide the rotation over until the cavalry comes in.
Yeah, the bad news on this guy is 5 major league seasons. He's never pitched more than 95 innings. He's been a spot starter for San Diego and Miami. 55 starts, 70 total games. The news is he's $1.35 million pitcher. I wrote down 135, like $135 million. He's basically getting paid what a public school teacher would get in the Major League Baseball universe.
Yeah,
and he's under control for 3 years. So
that's not a bad investment, I
guess. Again, for 4 guys that you've never heard of, but Yankee fans want to splash. They we know that we were this close to making the ALCS or getting past Toronto. We're wasting another year of Aaron Judge. The lineup isn't good without Cody Bellinger. Honestly, you pitch around Aaron Judge, this is a very mediocre lineup. So having teams like LA just throw gobs of money around, it's irritating Yankee fans. I know.
But it puts me in mind of 2007 when the Sox made the splash move of getting Josh Beckett, which obviously paid huge dividends. And then the throw-in that deal was Mike Lowell, who was the World Series MVP.
I liked Mike Lowell.
I did too.
He was a former Yankee or a former Columbus Clipper, I think. I don't think they were the Rail Riders then.
But you need those guys who are going to, maybe they hit 240, but they're going to go 7 for 12 in a postseason series, or
240 might make the All-Star team now.
Well, yeah.
So we made it to non-sports talk, and took us an hour and a half, but here we go. You finally got through the whole thing.
I did.
42 episodes over 5 seasons that started way back in 2016. The Netflix series Stranger Things comes to a close. Last week, you drafted our favorite characters, and I'm not surprised our top pick was the same because, man, what an awesome character he was. But the fact that the rest of our lists didn't overlap just tell me how cool this series was and how character-driven it was. So we'll get the easy question out of the way first. What did you think of the finale? What did you think of season 5?
I disliked it both so much.
Oh, my gosh, you're killing me.
So much. I've long maintained that what I liked about Stranger Things were like the character moments, like you said, character driven, where it's just, whenever it was like the characters hanging out, I was like, yes, I would just watch a show that was nothing supernatural. And it was, just like the romantic tension between Joyce and Hopper, or it was, the kids hanging out playing D&D in the basement or whatever. And whenever they would be like, oh, okay, well, let me explain for 2 minutes something that isn't scientifically sound, but it explains why these demons exist. And I'd kind of turn my brain off and I'd be like, all right, well, that's the least interesting part of the show. Season 5 was all that. It felt like nothing but every scene. It's like, okay, we're talking about wormholes and this room's dripping, and all right. I don't care about any of this. And my other problem was that the cast, not all of them, but a lot of the cast seemed bored and put out to even have to be there. Or, especially among some of the younger cast members, they did not grow up to have the acting chops they needed. It felt like a reform school of borderline illiterate high school seniors performing Hamlet at times.
See, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I will watch a show and I can suspend disbelief, and I like exposition. I like having things explained to me. I don't want to dig down deep and like, no, I wonder. So when Dustin starts talking about wormholes and like what I like hearing this is why the Upside Down exists. I like this is why it happened. Tell me. I don't want to pick it out myself. They're a little abyss place, which okay, that they didn't really tell you how that came to be, but there it is. And that's how the Upside Down came to exist. I thought that was fine. The fact that Will gains powers from the fact that Vecna invaded him, I thought that was really cool. However, the fact that all of a sudden he became a Jedi Master in episode 4, that was weird to me. Like, I'm just going to stop this Demogorgon. That he stopped 3 Demogorgons and then did the arm cracking thing, which is kind of cool, by the way, without really knowing his power. That felt weird, but it was the holy shit moment at the end of the first block. See, we watched this in blocks. You just binged the whole thing, I think, right?
Yeah.
So at the Thanksgiving block, that was where you left off. Like, oh my gosh, that's cool. All of a sudden, Will is a superhero. He's got the nosebleed. Okay, cool. I don't remember a ton from the second block where, Will has to recover, or they that's when the heroes, I guess, get on their something's bad's going to happen. Like, we're at our lowest point or whatever before the climax, and they win. Finale wise, because I have at least some memories of the finale. Give us your thoughts there. How did they end it? Did they end it okay for you, or you gonna go angry old man?
There was a lot I didn't like, but then something would happen, and I'd be like, well, that's the show I want to watch. Like, Hopper proposing to Joyce in the restaurant, and I was like, that's the show. If it was a show just about these people living in Indiana and there were no demons, I'd still watch. Or when there was a point, I can't remember if it was in the finale or not, where Vecna is making Hopper see, like his worst, and he sees his dead daughter, and she's like, you did this, and now you're gonna kill this girl. Like, that's when I kind of perked up, and I was like, that now I'm invested.
Okay.
It felt like, the relationship I cared most about in the show was the one between Hopper and Eleven. That's sort of the father-daughter thing.
Yep,
it felt like the show did not care at all about that in season 5. The finale, because
up until the finale, I think Hopper was still protective. Like, they're practicing for the crawl. She's doing her weird acrobatic stuff where she's jumping 30 feet. I don't know how she, whatever. He's still overly protective, like a dad would be. I think they got that relationship. But she's fighting back like your average 16, 17-year-old teenager would. I saw that relationship there grow through the season. And like, you had to know that he was going to have to let go for them to be successful. I think you kind of saw that coming. So I thought that relationship was okay throughout.
Yeah, but the finale, especially like the last 45 minutes, just felt like montage after montage after montage.
So let's go before that. Because what they had the big fight midway through the show. Like, they didn't end the series with this big fight.
Yes.
Where to start here? I think, and I think this might have been episode 6, when they're climbing the tower because the abyss is coming and whatever. So they climb this 6 trillion foot tower. First of all, that's ridiculous that they all made it up there in 10 minutes. When Steve doesn't die. First of all, when Steve falls, I'm sorry, Steve's dead. There's in no world does Jonathan fall down with enough power to catch him with one hand. This is Jonathan Byers we're talking about, not Lou Ferrigno. He holds him up with one hand, and it's like the Indiana Jones moment. Indiana. And he's holding him. You know how heavy people are? And you're up there swaying around? Sorry, Steve is dead. Once Steve didn't die, I kind of had this feeling, well, they're not going to kill anybody. And that's okay. I don't need my main cast to die. That's what the side characters are for.
Can I tell you what that moment was for me? This character would not be doing this. Was Murray like running in slow motion and then throwing a Molotov cocktail at a Huey
at the helicopter. Oh no! Murray's a ninja and he beat up Russian soldiers. Murray can do anything. That's part of the reason why I drafted him last week. He's a legend. I will not abide any Murray slander. You shut your mouth.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, okay, Brett Gelman.
It was so awesome. It was a direct hit with the Molotov cocktail. But anyway, so here we are. Well, Steve is alive. Whatever. The final fight happens, and our heroes are in the abyss. Fortunately, there's oxygen there for them to breathe. That's important. And they're marching towards this evil tree, which morphs into this Godzilla, which was, I don't know, man. I can suspend disbelief. That was cool for me. You've got this giant Kraken-looking thing. But how are these kids? I don't care how Supernatural 11 is. How are these kids going to combat this? If you go back to season 3 in the mall, all like the people morph together into some kind of similar thing.
Yeah,
I get it. Like you have the weakness of people. It's all sludge, and it was a lot smaller. This was definitely final boss. And you give Rambo. I mean, I'm sorry. No, who was it? Oh yeah, Nancy, because she was basically John Rambo.
Yeah, she's running around with a '80s perm and an M16.
But it was the clip of bullets that did it.
Yeah.
So she's fighting this thing while the kids decide, Lucas, great idea. Let's get the elevation. They climb this giant mountain in 40 seconds. Like, I can suspend disbelief, but you got to give me you got to give them at least 5 minutes to get up there. But she pulls this monster. She baits this monster into the hot gates, like in 300, where his numbers mean nothing. And he's like this close to getting her, like Tom and Jerry. She was in there for long enough. I think I would not have hated if she got clipped. And, Steve and Jonathan are like, oh, neither one of us get her. Because she's dead.
Yeah, and it's funny because you say, how you didn't need to have like a character die.
I didn't need it, but if she would have went there, if Steve would have fell off, that would have pissed off a lot of fans.
No, but I agree with you because it felt that way to me as I was watching it. It felt like a video game. Like there were no
side characters. The big four are Will, Lucas, Mike, and Dustin. One of those four can't go. I get that. 11, whatever. But that's what the side characters are there for. Death fodder.
Yeah, and it's funny because then when 11's sister dies, it's such like this poor girl. It's just like, oh, like she died flying back to her home planet. Oh no, You know
what? Here's the thing. You don't know that she died. I could delude myself into thinking everything you saw with her getting shot and her laying there in a pool of blood was something that she wanted you to see because that's her power. I could delude myself into that.
Should we have prefaced this by saying spoilers for Stranger Things?
It's too. You know what? It's 2 weeks old, and whatever.
And we said we were going to talk about it. So
yeah. So you had an hour and 30 minutes to listen to sports. So now you're listening to me geek out about this. Another big thing I liked. I really loved this. I loved how Will was in Vecna's mind, and we learned because of whatever this magic rock is. that Henry Creel wasn't really a bad kid. He didn't hate his family like you think. He was kind of warped because he had a weak mind like the kids did. And then Will trying to tell Vecna, hey, man, you're not bad. You were just a kid like us. Why don't you help us? And you know what Vecna says? Fanabla, I'm bad. They didn't do the Darth Vader babyface turn at the end. They kept him evil. That was because they had every chance to say, yeah, you know what, there's some good in him. No, there's not. There was no good in him.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily love all the
telepathy.
What's that? The
telepathy between him and Will, or?
I was going to say just like the Creel stuff in general with the kids, and I tuned out a lot when that would happen.
I think some of that, a lot of that was actually based on the Broadway show. I haven't seen the Broadway show,
okay.
But that you might have liked more had you seen that the Broadway show. I think from what I read.
And what's funny to me as we talk about this is how the charm of season 1 was how low expectation. It was just this like sleeper thing that no one knew about that just shows up on Netflix. It was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Jen didn't get through three episodes of it. She didn't like it at first.
Really?
Yeah. See, I had to talk her back into it for season 2 because I'm like, this is awesome. You have to watch this.
That's season 5 seemed to just completely whiff on what made the show so charming when it started. It was just
I think they wanted
CGI and big
explosions,
and bad CGI at that.
I think they wanted to wrap up things and answer. I'm a big guy who needs questions answered. So like that part was nice for me. Like, oh, okay, I know what this is. I'll tell you what. So the big question that everybody had is 11 alive? She's dead. I don't disagree. And this is where it's just weird how music hits. I spent that entire weekend listening to Purple Rain. I think I listened to it about 500 times. It helped me cope because I didn't feel bad that Mike lost his girlfriend. Like in The Void, where they got together in the water and they kissed. I really, really, really felt bad for Jim Hopper because they did it once with his daughter, and then they gave him this relationship that was like The Odd Couple. He's this beer drinking, smoking, quiet contemplator on the police force who's not really working too hard. And his character arced into like superhero. But part of that became like protector of another kid. And they took the kid away. And I don't know how Jim Hopper goes on. Yeah, they moved to Montauk, he marries Joyce and, whatever. I think there's a hole in him that never gets fixed ever. Because I agree. I think she sacrificed herself for the better good.
Yeah, you're right. And I would have liked, honestly, more of Hopper dealing with that, because all we really got was when Mike's like...
I don't know if I could handle Hopper emotional, because I choked up thinking about it. If we see Hopper crying, forget about it. I'm done.
Just like Mike being like, I'm not going to graduation. And like Hopper being like, oh, it's not your fault. Well, that's the bare minimum. I'll see you later.
Yeah. I guess, Hopper on the bench there, he's like, I thought you'd be here. I guess trying to like, he had that kind of relationship with the other kids too, which is weird for the chief of police of a small town in Hawkins to, connect with 4 middle schoolers like that.
Well, I mean, he is trying to bang the one kid's mom. So.
Yeah, that's probably helpful.
He's probably going to take him out to, Dairy Queen for blizzards a couple times.
Yeah.
Grease the tracks.
Last scene, I thought they did really well. Because, again, I like having some kind of closure. And the fact that they started out the scene with the water sprinkler, the same one they opened the series with, I thought that was cool. And all the kids down there playing D&D. Instead of going to the party, I didn't know this until I saw it later. The popular girl that invited Dustin after he did the Eddie Munson thing at graduation, which was awesome. The popular girl who invited him was the same girl who turned him down at the snowflake ball.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was a neat little callback. Like, oh, Nancy's dancing with him saying, don't worry, they'll come around. Graduation, they came around, and Dustin's like, I don't need you. I'm going to go play D&D with my friends.
Yeah,
that was neat. So they're sitting there playing, and they do the whole. You get this in movies, like at the end, you'd get the still picture. And Max went on to work in television, and Tim went on to work in media, whatever. You get that in D&D story form though, which I thought was really cool. It was good closure for me with characters, and when they put their binders up on the wall, you could. I don't know if they were acting that, because you work with a bunch of people for a bunch of years and you get connected. They're saying goodbye. There's an emotion to that where I think they did it really well. And I get why the new kids burst down like, oh, the story will continue in this and this. I could have done without that, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah, and you talk about like the D&D scene and the binder and putting it on the shelf. And that was a moment, and maybe it was just because the episode was too long, because at several points...
It's also 2:30 in the morning for you by now.
I was like, how much more of this is there? Golly.
A lot. It's the ending that, those 80s style shows go for. It's the MASH goodbye. It's the cheers were closed. It's Will and Mike putting their binders up for the last time. That did it for me, man.
I don't want to single out any young actors in particular by name.
You can. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're not watching. It's not like they're at Brian Giles' house watching this.
I'll tag them all.
But I just felt like there were 2 members in particular of the D&D group who could not pull off the emotional pull of that scene. Because I was watching that, and the very last thing I'm sure the creators wanted was for me to be rolling my eyes. And yet that's exactly what I was doing, where I was like, oh my God.
Which two? Tell me.
Mike and Will.
Okay.
Like Will with the fake. I did not, and I want to say this correctly. I did not buy the coming out scene at all.
Was that what episode was that in 6?
I think it's 6
or 5. Because that was one of those things that was teased and predicted, like even after season 4.
Yeah,
going back, so it wasn't a shocking scene.
No, it wasn't, and it's everything's perfectly valid about the choice. For him to not only be gay but to come out to his friends and family.
Sure.
I'm just talking purely in terms of like whether I bought it in the moment, how it was portrayed, and I was just, The whole, like, it felt so hard, like he was trying to fake cry. And I was like, I shouldn't be thinking that in that moment. I should be having an emotional reaction. And I wasn't.
I don't
And
think
then the
I had
whole,
one
like,
because of all the.
Or me. And they just keep group hugging. And I was like, oh.
It wasn't a shocking moment for me. That's the thing, because I foolishly read some stuff online, and you see the breadcrumbs that they laid down in front of you. Like, oh yeah, I can piece two and two together.
I kind of felt like I knew where it was going when he was talking about, like, like Vecna was in my mind and knows things about me, and I was like, okay, so now he's just going to be like completely emotionally honest with his mom. I was like, that's cool, but he just didn't pull it off as an actor for me, and the writing didn't help.
That's fair. Oh, from what I don't know if the Duffers lost a writer from season 4 to 5. I don't know if they were like just trying to like find a way to end this believably. I don't quite understand. You need a bad guy. Like every season had a bad guy. You got Papa, you got the big Russian Terminator. I didn't buy Dr. K. Like you get Linda Hamilton because of the 80s connection. I didn't get her. I don't know her motivation. They didn't develop her because they didn't have time. And honestly, I didn't care. At that point, the bad guy is Vecna and the Mind Flayer. I don't need the government to throw something in there either.
It did occur to me as I was watching that these children are responsible for the deaths of multiple soldiers, and there are no repercussions at all.
No. So, I mean, once 11 and the Upside Down get taken out by the awesome record player, again, jamming Purple Rain, it's like the military is like, all right, we're going to go home. And that was a lot of people's complaint online. And I was just like, I don't need to see the next 3 months of, court cases or whatever.
I didn't mean it to be a military tribunal and become a few good men. At that point, I didn't need it to get longer.
You could have the side spin-off series about what happened to Agent K after the Upside Down blew up.
Yeah. Stranger Things season 6.
Now, the one thing I thought about this last week, because I was going to ask you again. This is why Mr. Clark got drafted. He was part of the exposition and the story of why things got told. I need to be explained to because I'm a baby. How is it in season 3 then? What we know about the Upside Down as it's the hallway from Hawkins to the Abyss, how is there a gate in Russia? They never answered that. Like, because there's a gate in Russia.
Right. And that's a perfectly valid question.
But that wasn't even asked online. I never saw anybody ask that. But,
And that's the kind of thing where I suspend my disbelief and I'm just like, I don't need an answer. I don't care. But it's there and that's fine.
I think it was, since they answered every other question, if I can come up with a question, it's lazy writing, because I don't think that hard about shows. I just sit there, pick my nose, eat my Doritos, and say, entertain me for an hour. And for the 10 hours or 11 hours that season 5 went on, it did. Now, here's the thing that, again, the internet is undefeated when it comes to ridiculousness. If you look all throughout season 5, or you go back in time, have you seen the movie, The Number 23?
I don't know if I've ever seen the whole thing with Jim Carrey.
So, like, the premise of that is if you look hard enough, you can find the number 23 anywhere, right? 1 + 1 is 2, and then plus the 3 of us, it's 23. Yeah. The internet looked and they found 17 everywhere. It's 107 when this happens, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was convinced that the ending that we saw was all faked. It was in Vecna's mind. And on January 7th, 1/7, the real finale was going to drop. And it was going to be this, oh my gosh moment, which honestly would have been cool. I don't think the Duffers thought about this. I also think you run the risk of the ending being you go back to the kids, because this is the How I Met Your Mother ending. You film this back in 2016 thinking all of this is one big campaign from Mike. None of this happened. 11 doesn't exist. Hopper is still, quietly contemplating stuff. I think I would have hated that ending more than anything if they went down that route.
Yeah, and
it would have been neat. It would have been. I think I would have hated it. I like the way they ended it. You get the Cheers ending. The whole "this is a dream" thing, or this is all a D&D campaign. I might have thrown a shoe.
I think it's telling where my mind is at as opposed to yours, because you enjoyed it so much and I couldn't get into it. But I think the fact that people are like, oh, like we're going to follow this trail of imaginary breadcrumbs because there must be that was a fake out ending. There must be
Yeah,
another ending
it
out
was
there.
so bad. The real ending
Yeah,
is coming up.
that
That would probably hurt me if I'm the
viewers
Duffers.
are like, no, like that can't be it, right? Or you
I don't
could
know.
say that's people saying we want more of this.
We want more.
It goes
Yeah.
both ways.
The more came. I haven't watched it. They had the behind the scenes look. I've seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff on Facebook Reels and TikTok where, it's weird to see Vecna in his bodysuit hugging 11, because it's like Andre hugging Hulk Hogan. That doesn't happen. But I haven't seen that one yet. Maybe later.
Yeah, it's always weird when you watch like a behind the scenes documentary about a TV show or movie, and it's like Nev Campbell having a cigarette with the Ghostface Killer from Scream.
What are we doing here?
They're over at craft services, like eating potato salad, and it's like, well, that kind of broke the fourth wall a little.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm glad we got to talk about it. It's something that it took up at least 5 years of my life, story wise. Now I get the next thing I'm watching. I told you I'm watching Sons of Anarchy now. I'm on the season 2 finale. It's entertaining me. I'm not engrossed into the biker culture. I don't think I'm going to go buy a Harley, but it's entertaining at least. You said you lasted a couple episodes before you pieced out on it.
And if nothing else, I think this has inspired me to go back and rewatch season 1 of Stranger Things, just because I did enjoy it so much 10 years ago.
10 years. Amazing. So, all right, here we go. Quick hitter time. Are you ready?
I am always ready for a quick
We
hitter.
have, I think there's 4 on the block today because it's a short day. We're going back to Kevin Durant point watch. Last week, we thought KD might have passed Dirk. Not quite. We're going to look at the top 11 right now because Durant likely passes Nowitzki at home against New Orleans tomorrow night. But a new addition to the list, James Harden enters the chat. Harden recently passed Shaquille O'Neal, 11th place all time. Keep an eye on the list. Who do you think moves up first? Does Harden pass Malone to get into the all-time top 10, or does KD push Jordan out of the top 5?
All right, let me see here. Durant's at 31.5, and Durant passes Jordan.
Durant needs 748. Harden needs 913.
Yeah, Durant passes Jordan.
I think that's fair. How far does Harden get this year? Does he get to 9? It's 1359. I don't know how many games they have left if he's averaging 30 a game if he gets there. That might be a next year thing.
6. We're about halfway through the season. An elite score is going to give you between 1,800 and 2,000 points.
Okay.
I don't think he passes Doc this season.
He gets close though.
He'll make a run.
Okay, there we go. Number 2. Back to college football. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore returning to Oregon. We talked about that, skipping out on the NFL draft. What do you think is the more likely reason? Oregon giving him $7.5 million in NIL, or the risk of being drafted by the Jets?
I think we both know the answer to that question, Max.
It's a wise business decision on both counts.
Because the money he would make going to the NFL, just so dwarfs what the $7 million in Oregon, but the chance of being mishandled by the New York Jets front office and coaching staff
the chance
is a career ruiner.
The inevitability. So there we go.
They're going to move into the offensive line.
Somebody's got to protect Justin Fields. And they draft linemen too. There you go. I like that. Number 3, the NCAA football transfer portal closes for most players yesterday. Exceptions for teams in the national championship. In the national championship game, they get an extra 5 days. Miami already the favorite to land Duke quarterback. But there's still currently over 3,000 college football players in the transfer portal who, assuming their former teams don't readmit them, their entire football careers are over. That's kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real, everyone thinks of like that bittersweet moment when you take the pads off for the last time. But this is maybe more bittersweet because it's so unceremonious.
Yeah, honestly, at one point in our lives, we rode our bikes to Westcourt for the last time. We just didn't know it. this is kind of a sad thing for them. I mean,
I'm going to go put a binder on a shelf somewhere. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. That's tough. It's tough for me to think about.
That's some Finn Wolfhard level acting right there.
Yeah, I like it. All right, here we go. Last one, and we're gonna couple this with some rank roulette. An incredible array of birthdays today, which we will now blind rank roulette style. Are you ready?
Yes.
I need A, B, C, D, or E for you, and we're gonna rank the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 blindly.
All right. Oh, B.
B is Muhammad Ali.
And I'm ranking them as athletes or people?
I don't know. As people, however you want to rank them. People you'd want to say hi to. I don't know. Shake their hands. Buy them lunch even.
1.
Muhammad Ali is number 1. All right. So A, C, D, E.
C.
James Earl Jones.
3.
3. Okay. Next up.
I'll go E.
E is Al Capone.
Oh, 5.
Maybe you don't want to eat with Al Capone, but
yeah, he's a murderer.
He's probably got some good whiskey though. So we're down to A and D.
D.
D is Betty White.
2.
That's fair. That's probably fair. Meaning number 4 is Jim Carrey.
I would swap out Jim Carrey. If I weren't doing this blindly, I would go Ali, Carey, Betty White, James Earl Jones, Capone. But I don't hate the way this worked out.
I think I would go James Earl Jones, Betty White, Jim Carrey, Muhammad Ali, Al Capone. I don't know if I'd have a lot to talk about with Muhammad Ali. I'm not a boxing guy. You are. Makes total sense.
And since we're on the subject, I'll give a shout out because it is the birthday of 2 of my friends, Sean Stair and Mitch Rupert.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday. Should we sing?
No.
I'm not against it.
Time is punishing them enough.
Time has punished them enough. Oh. All right, here we go. Draft time. And I saw this on a rival podcast of which I steal a lot of content. This is a mystery draft. Neither one of us know who the other is drafting, but the goal is for the other person to guess what the other person is drafting. Does that make sense?
I understood it.
So we'll see if the viewers get it. So the first pick in the draft is almost meaningless, but that doesn't mean we don't get to learn. We're going to learn a little bit about American history through the document deck. I need a number and a color.
6, black.
3, 4, 5. Number 6 is in fact black. The Pennsylvania Charter of Privileges. Oh boy. The Pennsylvania Charter of Privileges, issued by William Penn, was a constitution for the province of Pennsylvania in 1701. Colony granted to Penn by Charles II of England. This frame of government had lasting historical impact as an important step in the development of American and world democracy. It is the 10 of clubs. So in a draft which really, I guess theoretically we could both draft the same thing here.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be wild. I mean, if you pick my number 1 overall, I will be completely shocked.
I would be shocked.
No way you should.
I would be shocked if you picked my number 1 overall because it's crustacean.
Oh, crustacean. That is, it was high on my board. I like its upside. Yeah, that's
shellfish are amazing. If you don't have a seafood allergy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The risk reward I think is really high with crustacean. I like that.
Can you imagine, by the way, the first person in history to have a shellfish allergy and to have unfortunately eaten crab and be like, and other people seeing that and being like, no, I'm still gonna risk it.
I wonder about when we grew up. I didn't know anybody with a nut allergy, but now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, there it is. Good pick. With my number 1, I'm going to take a different route. I'm going to take Montel Jordan.
Okay, I'm going to write yours down as I go.
Probably a good idea. A good idea. So after one pick, I have really no idea. I'm going to say 3-syllable words.
It is not.
Yeah.
I also don't have any idea. I'm going to guess musicians with famous athlete last names.
It is not that.
Okay.
Your
My number 2 pick is chamomile.
Chamomile. I don't know how to spell that, but that's what you're gonna get. I think that probably reached on that. I don't know if I would have taken them 2 overall. I think they're probably around in the 4th or 5th round, but okay.
This has been a debate in our friendship going back decades.
Probably.
I'm much higher on chamomile than you are.
Yeah. But yeah, what are you going to do? My number 2 pick, again, I don't know if it's a reach here for my number 2. I'm going to take Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Boy,
my first guess was still very sound because musicians with basketball last names. Is it specific to basketball?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Maybe. Precision and chamomile. Yeah, I got nothing. Words that start with C.
It is words that start with C.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going to be all words that start with C.
That's terrible. Okay, well, let's give me your 3rd pick.
This is a delightful word that starts with C. It's chantilly.
You know what? I think I would have picked Chantilly. I didn't know how to spell chamomile. I got lucky that I spelled it with a C. That's wild. I Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a cottontail.
Chantilly potatoes?
Whatever. Okay, there you go. With my number 3, we're going to go with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
So you were close with your first picks. You were. You're in the right neighborhood, most definitely. You're just not specific enough.
Okay. Is it related to basketball?
Yes.
Dream Team members.
Yes, there you go. These are all people who share a last name with members of the 1992 Dream Team.
All right.
I had who's your 4th going to be?
My 4th one's a sleeper pick because it's kind of flies under the radar. It's cicada.
Oh yeah, cicada would have thrown me off, especially if you would have put that after crustacean. My 4th pick was going to be Saquon Barkley.
Oh, that's a good one.
He was actually the impetus for this list. The people that did this mystery draft. He drafted Saquon Barkley first, and I thought to myself, I can do this. This is cool.
Does it have to be real people? Like, is J.R. Ewing your 5th one?
J.R. Ewing is he wasn't my 5th. Jackie Robinson was my 5th.
Is J.R. Ewing an honorable mention?
I have Sue Bird, J.R. Ewing. The first person to sign the Declaration of Independence was founding father Richard Stockton. And then Scottie Pippen Jr. But I thought putting the 2 music guys first might have led you down the music hole.
Right. So my 5th one, and I can tell you my honorable mentions.
Because you could have 1,000 honorable mentions. That's amazing.
I only have 3, surprisingly. My 5th one is crouton.
Oh, I love a good crouton.
I don't know if you know this about me, but sometimes I'll keep croutons in the house to just eat as snacks.
Jen does that all the time. Jen loves that. Yeah, that's that. Jen that got me into doing it too. I would steal her croutons. When I was a kid, we went to, I think it was Bonanza up on 93 on the way to the mall. Mm-hmm. It was the salad bar, and I remember, they were bringing the salad to you, and I remember asking the waiter for breadcrumbs because I didn't know what they were called.
Yeah,
and that's when I first learned what a crouton was. I like that. C words.
Well, honorable mention.
Oh yeah, lay it on me.
Chrysanthemum, chartreuse.
Oh boy.
And coalesce. We always hear negative things about the C word. These are more pleasant C words.
Yes, there you go. I'm in favor of all of them. and a fine mystery draft was had by all. Good job. I'm kind of amazed both of us got it as early as we did.
Yeah,
you were right there after Montel Jordan, and you after Malone, you're like, they're basketball. I'm like, yeah, they are. It's not specific enough, but excellent work on both of our parts. So
Yes, some
What's
solid detective work by both of us. Well
what
done.
is our top 5 about today? This is kind of your idea.
Yeah, so I had read something this week. I won't mention what it was in case it's one of your picks for your top 5.
It's he's on the list, but I'm up to 7. So like I figured
I
he's
have
going to be on both of our lists.
I have 11, so I'll just say what
11. Holy cow!
it was the anniversary, an unfortunate anniversary this week of Bo Jackson suffering the hip injury that ended his football career against the Bengals in a playoff game. So I said, because he's always been one of the great what ifs in football history. What if he picked only one sport, or what if he hadn't suffered that injury?
What if he hadn't gotten hurt? Yeah.
So, are our top 5 NFL what ifs?
I wrote that down, but I thought to myself, well, if that's the impetus for the list, it's almost like it's both of our number 1. It's like the Bobby Heenan of the list. So
right.
I have some other stuff in there that, but I only went down to 7, and it's including Bo Jackson. You have 11, which I assume we're going to have some overlap just because.
Yeah, I'll just pick 5. I'll kind of try to adapt around you. Oh yeah, I'll mention my honorable mentions after.
I think my number 1, and I'll rank them 1 to 5 ish. My number 1 would really have to be if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt by Mo Lewis. What happens to both the Patriots and Tom Brady's legacy? Because if Drew Bledsoe is still the starter, do the Patriots still win those Super Bowls with him? Because he was a really good quarterback. But
we took him to a Super Bowl before already.
We don't think of Tom Brady the way we think of Tom Brady then. So what if Mo Lewis doesn't lay out Drew Bledsoe?
Yeah, that was on my list. I think it's a natural one. And, it's a great, almost like a nature versus nurture debate of Brady being, we've kind of learned that he's this competitive, he has that mindset to want to be the best.
Mm-hmm. His time at Michigan helped him with that.
Absolutely. And his time is, from being a high school kid who wasn't like the 5-star guy who everyone. Yeah. So would that mindset have led him to greatness anyway, or did he need to be in that particular petri dish in New England with Bill Belichick helping him develop and mature?
That's a big what if. We don't know. Well, made both of our lists. So.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
I'll go with I tried to mostly stay in our lifetimes, but this one predates us a little bit. What if the Baltimore Colts just absolutely destroyed the New York Jets in Super Bowl III? Because the talk was that the NFL was superior. The Packers had beaten the Chiefs and Raiders by multiple touchdowns, and the Colts were favored by 19 points going into Super Bowl III. The Jets beating the Colts was the impetus for the AFL-NFL merger, because it was like, no, this is a rival league. The Super Bowl's not going away. If the Jets just get destroyed, does the NFL then have the moral superiority to be like, you're beneath us, we're not merging, and this Super Bowl business, we're just going to have our own NFL championship, but thanks for doing business with us.
Maybe the AFL becomes the minor league system, an early onset NIL for college football to go to, a G League of sorts.
Yeah, it could go any one of a number of ways. It certainly changes Joe Namath's legacy.
Oh, sure.
Where, I don't even know if he goes to the Hall of Fame without that Super Bowl. Because otherwise, he's a guy with pedestrian numbers and a loud mouth.
Yeah. But yeah, with the one ring though, and the story behind it, the guarantee was
right. I guarantee. Yep.
It was good print fodder. Now I think it's a good one. I think we've talked about this before about if that didn't happen. I like my idea of a minor league system, but I think that was probably that thinking's ahead of its time for football at least.
We could have gone into a scenario where it's like the NBA ABA merger, where only 4 ABA teams went to the NBA and the rest just got the axe.
Yeah.
So maybe we keep a few of the AFL teams and the rest just go bust.
Yeah. But by now, I wonder, expansion was bound to happen eventually. Would it have mattered by now? Does football have the same level of popularity now? I think a lot of that has roots in the merger, bringing football to more people. But it's interesting to think about. My number 3 then on the list of Bo and drew one too. What if Atlanta doesn't? Mine are mostly player driven. What if the Atlanta Falcons don't trade Brett Favre? The Jerry Glanville famously said it would take a plane crash for Favre to play. The Falcons drafted Tony Smith with the first round pick they got from Green Bay, and he went on to rush for a total of 329 yards all in his rookie year, and he scored 2 more touchdowns than you and I combined. But if Brett Favre doesn't get traded, does the Green Bay, we're going to call it a run because it's not a dynasty. They've only won 2 rings in that 30-year period. But they had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers for what felt like the same amount of time the Pittsburgh Steelers had 2 coaches. Oh, wait, that's because it was. Like, if Favre stays with Atlanta, does Atlanta get that boost? Or does Green Bay find somebody else?
And this is an interesting one because I think it's more likely that Brady, if he doesn't have Belichick or get on the field for the Patriots.
No, maybe Brady ends up in Green Bay.
Well, no, what I was going to say is I think it would be more likely for Brady to have achieved some fraction of the greatness that he did. I think, Brett Favre has talked about just
absolutely the product of Mike Holmgren. I get that.
Not just that, but being in Atlanta, being an alcoholic straight out of college who had a big arm and, no real reputation from college other than just raw talent. He's talked about if he hadn't been moved out of Atlanta, he would have just drank himself out of the league.
Got himself out of the league, yeah. So good trade for Favre, good trade for Green Bay. And, Atlanta got 2 touchdowns out of Tony Smith. Good for him.
And those 329 yards.
Can't sleep on those. All in 1 year. It's 329 more yards than I have.
That's 2 more career touchdowns than the Jets had interceptions. I don't know if you heard they didn't have one this year.
I missed that one.
I'm going to go with what if Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones learned how to play nice?
Yeah.
And Jimmy stays in Dallas. Do they win a couple more rings?
Well, they definitely win the one that Switzer won.
Right.
And Jimmy Johnson was such a good acquirer, or he had a good eye for talent.
Yeah.
He was just that, he didn't have it in Miami. So I think that's one of those situations where it was Belichick, Brady together. It worked. Separate, it worked a little bit for one of them. I don't know, because you still have to keep the team together. Free agency was a thing.
Aikman's concussion.
They've been competitive. It's not like Dallas fell off a cliff when Jimmy Johnson left. They were still there.
I don't think we talk enough about how Aikman was out of the league by 32 because of concussions. 32 is so young.
By today's standards, especially.
Yeah, you look at Rodgers playing in his 40s, and Tom Brady playing.
Brady was 45. Yeah,
yeah.
Those are stretches. I think you don't see a ton of that, but no. As an Eagles fan, you're probably happy that Jimmy Johnson didn't stay.
Absolutely.
How fast can you get to the Fox broadcast booth, Jimmy? Get out of here.
And it's funny that after the experience in Miami, he never decided to give it one more try.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
what though? People were saying this about Tomlin. The first day you wake up, you wake up at 9 o'clock. Financially, you're set. You don't need the stress. There's more hang out with your family. That's life invigoration. That you've won a Super Bowl. You've made the top of the mountain. It's not like Jim Harbaugh going back to the NFL because he hasn't gotten to the top of the mountain. Everybody's chasing that. If you've been there already, you're chasing the second one, but it's never as good as the first.
There's also something to be said for the aura of people being like, can you imagine if Jimmy Johnson had, Bill Cowher has some of that, where he walked away with a Super Bowl win and never went back.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about just having that almost pristine reputation.
The legend is still there. Sure. My number 4, another legend, another injury thing. And this was the one that predates us. And he's a Bear, so a lot of people, it's not shocking. If Gale Sayers doesn't get hurt in 68, how many rushing yards does he end up with? And because of that, does he create some kind of new offense? Because he was one of those guys who was good in the running game, the passing game, and on special teams, just getting the ball somehow. Could he have been the advent for a weird West Coast style offense if the Bears could have thought inventively back then? Could he have changed football back in the 70s where, the injury took a lot of that explosiveness away and he just became an afterthought?
I think the league was too conservative to made him like an early Marshall Faulk.
They were throwing the ball to him in the late 60s, though. They were.
They were. And, I mean, he had the 6-touchdown game his rookie year against San Francisco where he's returning kicks. He's running, on a muddy field. I think it's more what does it do for his legacy? Where does he end up in the echelon of great running backs? And what does it do for him? Because he's almost like the NFL's Sandy Koufax.
I can see that. That's a fair comparison.
I'm going to go with another one that's along the lines of my first one. And I don't know how much you remember about this from the 80s, but you remember the old USFL?
Yeah.
And they were playing in the spring and doing pretty well. And they had an owner who you might have heard of named Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Who said, no, we need to take on the NFL directly. We need to move to the fall, and we need to sue the NFL in court for antitrust.
A sound business decision. And
they won the court case, the USFL did, and they were awarded a $3 judgment by the court. And
they sent the check.
It was disaster for the USFL. They folded. But the USFL was a real threat to the NFL in those days because they were throwing huge contracts.
Yeah. Like
Herschel Walker and Reggie White, Jim Kelly.
Well, I think Jim Kelly went there because he didn't want to go to Buffalo.
He didn't want to. Right. It was kind of
the rival league gave them a place to go if you didn't want to go to where you were drafted.
So that's another one where you kind of think like, could there have been a merger situation?
Another merger. Yeah.
The USFL also was one of the early sports leagues to have a TV contract with a little network known as ESPN.
Oh, they were on ESPN? Why did I think they were on NBC?
They were on ABC and ESPN, but before ABC and ESPN were corporate partners.
Okay, yeah.
But also, because the USFL's solution to this was to just throw money at players to bring big names into the league, if the court case had gone differently, would it have brought free agency to the NFL sooner?
Okay.
To try to change the financial landscape of football. We didn't get it until 93 when Reggie White took the big deal to go to Green Bay. It was a big part of why the 87 strike happened. And if so, like whose careers changed because they moved?
Does Joe Montana win 4 Super Bowl because that stacked Niner team? It's like, I'm going to get better money somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting thought. I've always wondered. Like, we were in college when the XFL hit. And I was always under the belief that you could put football on any time and it would be successful. Like, you could put a pro football league on in February and March because there's people that don't want to watch basketball in the regular season. They don't care about hockey. There's nothing else on. Yeah, I'll watch football, even if it's quote unquote bad football. Like, have you watched like Arizona Carolina games? Like, there's some bad NFL football. And yeah, these guys are at the top of their profession or whatever. Like, I sat through some really awful years as a Chicago Bear fan. Like, they played bad football. So, I mean, for me to watch the Texas Outlaws against the Las Vegas Rattlers or, the Winnipeg Wazamazoos or, whatever, these teams or these cities that don't have NFL teams, I'm kind of amazed that league didn't do as well as I thought they would have. And with the whole backing of like the pro wrestling community back in the early 2000s, like, yeah, you got like Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Jesse Ventura doing they were doing some innovative stuff, putting cameras in locker rooms. They were the first to have the overhead camera. And like, they did some really cool technical things. I'm amazed they didn't last as long as they did.
I think problem was the miscalculation by Vince McMahon of taking Attitude Era marketing
Yeah.
and applying it to the most mainstream form of entertainment in America, and having like, oh, we're gonna have scantily clad cheerleaders on NBC in prime time.
We're gonna fight. We're gonna have a fumble sprawl brawl for the kickoff for the coin flip.
Yeah, I think America found it too like crass.
Yeah, I got you. But you know, at the end of the day, though, it was still football. Like once all that went away, like you had the promos and you had the match. You had a first down. It was 10 yards. It wasn't anything wonky. They didn't change the rules of football too much. Rating wise, they just didn't do well. You're probably right though. It's probably because of the attitude look to it.
Yeah, like I think people will take that with wrestling because wrestling has those roots as like carnival entertainment.
Yeah.
And I don't say that derisively. Like it's literally the roots of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think people like to look at football as like, no, this is my more legitimate side.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that and segue into my next one, which is actually number 6 on my list. I'm gonna skip one. What if Brock Lesnar, The Rock, and Bill Goldberg actually made a living in football and never set foot in a pro wrestling ring?
And it's funny because especially with The Rock being a guy who
massive person in entertainment because of wrestling.
Right. And I think he had the most viable path to the league, being a guy who was at Miami when Miami was the U, you know. You wonder if he would have tried to have some sort of career after football in entertainment.
I think what the Attitude Era did for him was it allowed his personality to grow, and that's what Hollywood really flocked to. Like Warren Sapp on that Hurricane team has like he got the big smile, and yeah, if he hits you, it hurts. I could see Warren Sapp maybe making it. Dwayne Johnson wasn't Warren Sapp back then. He was more straight laced, and he was trying to be a serious athlete. He wasn't The Rock. And then like you look at a guy like Bill Goldberg, who just a massive man. Brock Lesnar, who was a national champion amateur wrestler, also an MMA champion, like a legitimate shoot fighter. He was a bad dude. Missing out on that area of combat sports. Those guys were people forget like how big Bill Goldberg was in the early 2000s, like 100-0 clean victory over Hulk Hogan on TV. Like it wasn't like a house show. He was a massive guy, regardless of what Bret Hart says about him. So if they found fame in football, I don't know.
And it's funny because you could do that with a lot of the professional wrestlers, because obviously Savage with baseball and that's really interesting. I'm trying to think of like who among professional wrestlers would have had the most, who was the biggest like almost in professional sports.
I Savage, I think you're probably close to. Ric Flair was a guard at Minnesota. I don't think he was a threat to go to the NFL. I know Hacksaw Jim Duggan was a guard. I think he went to Baylor.
DiBiase played college ball.
See, DiBiase, I could see DiBiase as like a defensive back. He wasn't when he first started in pro wrestling, he looked like he was like 205. He was small.
I think he was an offensive skill guy.
I could see him playing tight end. Well,
yeah. While you're looking
DiBiase football position. Yeah, what's your next one?
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I'm going to go with my next one. It's what if Bill Belichick decides not to write a resignation letter on a napkin to the New York Jets and
the New York Jets.
And decides, I'm going to follow Parcells in New York and not go to New England.
That's back when the Jets weren't bad. The Jets
were coming off an AFC Championship appearance. They lost to the Broncos.
Yeah, I wonder if Bill Belichick puts the Jets over the top. That's it. That's an interesting thought, man.
Because that was a team that had, some dudes on defense, and then they
Was that a Vinny Testaverde led team?
That was Testaverde and Keyshawn and Curtis Martin, Kyle Brady.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I mean, who do they have on defense? Because he's a defensive guy.
Mo Lewis.
Mo Lewis.
At that time, they probably would have had Brian Cox.
Okay, who's a Jet?
Aaron Glenn. He was a good player back in the day.
Picking off passes?
Yeah. Let me show you how it's done.
It's an interesting thought. You don't know how much sway Bill Belichick had in the draft room in New England. I'm sure he had a lot. So bringing that expertise to New York would be kind of wild.
It also, I think, begs the question, because then when Belichick leaves New York, where he'd been Parcells' defensive – no, he was a defensive back coach in New England. And because of the previous relationship, he was going to succeed Parcells in New York. Mm-hmm. He goes back for a year to be an assistant coach in New England. But if he hadn't done that, if he decides he's going to be the head coach of the New York Jets, do the Patriots have a longer leash with Pete Carroll, who is the person who got fired, for Belichick to then jump into the head coaching job for the Patriots in 2000? So now we're looking at Pete Carroll could have built something in New England, while Belichick's the head coach of the reigning AFC runner-up New York Jets.
I think you see a paradigm shift where the Jets become the Patriots and the Patriots become the Jets.
Kinda.
I have that more faith in Belichick than I did in Carroll. And Carroll was still a good coach. He wasn't Bill Belichick to me, though. I don't know.
Yeah, at that point, he was one of those guys. He'd coached the Jets and not particularly well in the mid-'90s. Pete Carroll, this is. And then he took the Patriots to the playoffs before they kind of fell off the table a little bit. He was kind of a 500 coach.
Yeah.
Which this year in Vegas he would have taken, by the way.
He would have also taken Vinny Testaverde as quarterback, I assume.
Maybe at his current age.
Yeah. He also would have taken this is amazing. The $1 Million Man played offensive tackle for West Texas State University. Guess who his quarterback was?
West Texas. So I'm assuming he played in like the late 60s or 70s?
Does it say? Doesn't say. But one of these guys was his quarterback.
Tully Blanchard?
Tully Blanchard was his quarterback.
I knew Tully Blanchard. I was pretty sure he was a college quarterback.
And then Chico Santana was his tight end. Isn't that amazing? I want to go back and watch some film of West Texas State when the $1 Million Man was
when you have half of the Four Horsemen
was protecting Tully Blanchard and pass blocking next to Tito Santana.
We
double teaming an outside linebacker.
Half a strike force, half the Four Horsemen. I mean, gee whiz, was Brutus Beefcake the fullback?
Did Brutus Beefcake play football? I don't think. You know what? Everything I know about Ed Leslie tells me I highly doubt it. Yeah, no indication. But he was a baseball fan. He liked Pete Rose and Mickey Mantle growing up. Allegedly, according to Google AI. So there we go. Right. I'm gonna since he liked Mickey Mantle, I'm gonna skip ahead to number 7. There's a lot of butterfly effect that could happen with this. What if John Elway made good on his promise to say, I'm not playing pro football. I'm going to go play for the New York Yankees. And he leaves behind a Hall of Fame football career. Does he transform the Yankees into maybe a playoff team for Don Mattingly? Do the Broncos or Colts ever really recover from that?
See, that's interesting because not only Mattingly, but I mean, those Yankees teams were so close when only one team from each division went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're talking about a team with Mattingly, Winfield, Willie Randolph, Ricky Henderson, Dave Righetti.
Yeah, they weren't in the early '80s. They weren't bad. They got bad in the late '80s,
Right?
like embarrassingly bad. But yeah, when Elway was drafted, '81, I think it was, because then he was drafted by the Colts in '83. It was the '83 draft.
83.
The Yankees still had his rights, so he threatened. He's like, "I'll go play baseball with New York."
Yeah,
and he was a good baseball player.
Yeah.
Very, very good. You don't know if he would have turned into an all-star. I mean, baseball is it's the hardest thing in the world to do. Hit a round ball with a round stick. But if he stuck it out, could he have done it? And what does that do to how far does that set Denver back?
Yeah, and not only that, but what does it do to the AFC of the 80s where the Browns had their hearts broken twice by Elway? You know, you had some really good Jets teams like the Sack Exchange Jets.
Yeah.
You know, that was when the NFC was on their run of like 14, 15 straight Super Bowls. You know, if another AFC team other than those Broncos gets a bite at the apple, you know, do we now talk about two-time Super Bowl champion Bernie Kosar?
Or does Dan Marino get one?
Yeah.
Is Dan Marino? I guess Dan Marino's still probably drafted where he's drafted. But if Elway signs with the Yankees and he's not even in the '83 draft, what does that do? Who's taking number one if Elway's not an option?
Boy, I don't remember. So that was the one with the 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was the number 2 pick. Was it Bill Fralick, maybe?
I know Chris Hinton was 4th. The '83 draft, let's go. Elway went number 1, obviously. The Rams took Eric Dickerson. The Seahawks took Kurt Warner. The Broncos took Chris Hinton. And then, the next quarterback was Todd Blackledge.
Yeah, like 16 to the Chiefs. 7 to the Chiefs.
7. The quarterback that went 14 was Jim Kelly.
Marino was like 28 to the Dolphins.
Ken O'Brien, 24 to the Jets, and then Marino 27.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you're the Colts, I mean, if you're looking for the best player, I mean 2020 now, obviously. Bruce Matthews at tackle, Jimbo Covert at tackle, little Eric Dickerson, not a bad pick. Marino, obviously, incredible value where they got him.
Well, that's because some people feel there were rumors planted about Marino having the drug problem, which so naturally you send him to Miami.
Sure. It's a good fit. Richard Dent got picked 203 in that draft, by the way.
Oh, wow. All right, so for my last one, I'll run through some of my did you have other?
Yeah. I have one other, but you can go through.
So
I'm not really in a hurry to talk about this guy.
I won't go too into detail on these, but I had, what if Drew Brees passes his physical with the Miami Dolphins when he's leaving the Chargers and he gets paired with Nick Saban in Miami?
Wow.
Doesn't go to New Orleans. Does Saban now not go to Alabama? What if Art Modell keeps the Browns in Cleveland? Ray Lewis and Ed Reed are now Cleveland Browns. Do they start to build a team that competes for Super Bowls in the early 2000s? Does Belichick stay in Cleveland as their coach? Ryan Leaf, what if he goes number 1 instead of Peyton Manning?
And there was talk that was a toss. It wasn't a toss up, but it was like 65-35.
Yeah,
70-30. I don't know. Peyton Manning over him.
I had, what if Norwood makes the field goal to beat the Giants, Super Bowl 25. Yeah. But the one that I was going to focus a little on was, because it was a big gamble in sports media and it paid off well. But what if Monday Night Football just absolutely flopped in the early 70s? The thought of having football on any day but a Monday was so bizarre. Like what we were just saying about the XFL and how people were like, I don't know about this. That was the talk around Monday Night Football, where Roone Arledge being like, no, we're going to have like a primetime showcase. And people were like, no, like Monday night, that's when you watch, MASH or something else is on. The Bob Newhart show. like the idea of having, a network showcase devoted to football. Monday Night Football is, then what makes ESPN a player in primetime sports, which then, is what makes, like, in the current landscape, the streaming services a player in showing sports. And, I just have to wonder if how long. I think that would have been inevitable, but I wonder how long it would have taken if Monday Night Football was a, like, memorable disaster.
Yeah. So the first Monday Night Football game, September 21, 1970. And this is back when,
Browns Colts.
We're not a football culture just yet. So
yeah, it's still a baseball country.
It's not a stretch to say that, it could have flopped. I don't know what the ratings did. I mean, ABC picked it up again, so they must have been fine. But as far as media goes, like we talked about this earlier, I don't know what executives look for going beyond just like, right now, this is what I need. Any kind of sport, any kind of primetime sporting event during the week. That wasn't baseball over the summer, because that's when your stuff isn't running anyway. You're just trying to find I need content that's not an infomercial. Yeah, that's wild, I think, because this is pre 24-hour coverage of stuff. Like cable wasn't a big thing. Yeah.
It's wild to even like tell kids of a certain age that the TV just went off at a certain time.
Oh yeah, we played the national anthem.
We played the national anthem, and then it was a test pattern.
Yeah.
And then you just didn't watch TV until 8 the next morning.
Was it 8?
Yes. Probably like 6 or 7, because
I thought it was probably a 6 o'clock news.
Yeah, but like there wasn't even like late night programming. Like it was only the Tonight Show.
Even for us in the 90s, how often would you have woken up to the sounds of Enya on one of those CD commercials?
Right. Or Freedom Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like that's what was running. Like, or a 30-minute infomercial from Ron Popeil selling you knives.
Yeah,
that's the stuff that ran at 2 in the morning.
Anyone under the age of 30 who might be watching this, if you were trying to watch TV at 4 in the morning in 1990, you were either listening to Anya or buying a Pocket Fisherman, and that is it.
That was it. So yeah, it's an interesting move for ABC to do that kind of thing, but it worked out, and here we are. We have football every day of the week now. So
yeah.
The last one I threw in there was about Michael Vick. If he wasn't a complete jerk for his abuse problems, if he was a good citizen, his numbers, he continued to improve after, the 2 seasons that he lost. If you look at the 2 seasons beforehand and the 2 seasons after, he was really on a good trajectory. And you wonder how good he could have been, 1,000-yard rushing quarterback back in the day. I don't know. He's, as far as players go, he might be one of the big what ifs in the world. And video game wise, along with Bo Jackson, maybe the best video game football player after Bo Jackson.
Yeah, 2004 Madden, Michael Vick
he was a
problem.
Cheat code.
Yes.
What other was it? You had some others.
Oh yeah, I'd gone through those.
Oh, you got them all?
Yeah, okay. Breeze to Miami. Yeah.
What if Coach Matz does not fall down in the mud as Hazleton plays Williamsport? Do we beat the Millionaires?
Well, and then we don't go to the Eastern Conference playoffs. And
I have no idea what a Zephyr is. Yeah, and I met someone at IUP who went to Whitehall, and when I told her I knew what a Zephyr was, she thought it was the coolest person ever. She's like, "You know what a Zephyr is?" I'm like, "Yeah, who doesn't?" It's a small breeze. So that is not the Mr. Smarty Pants question today, believe it or not. What is a Zephyr? I think you would have gotten that one.
I would have.
I have.
If I was making a list of Z words, Zephyr would definitely be on there. I would draft Zephyr in my top 5.
That's well, we know not to do that next week then. So.
Zephyr, Zygote, Zootopia.
Ooh. Zilch.
Yeah, because that's what I've got left.
That's it. All right, here we go. Mr. Smarty Pants time. I've got 2 questions, 2 lists. And I did not vet this one, because I just thought this is kind of insane. You are not going to get this. According to it's called Facto Animation. They're on TikTok. You can look it up. If everyone on Earth started peeing into the Grand Canyon at the same time, with a constant flow of pee, how long before the Grand Canyon fills up, assuming that the pee doesn't sink?
You're
not getting this on any other podcast, folks.
I'm looking up as if I know like the capacity of the Grand Canyon or how much the average person pees in fluid ounces.
This video goes into all that. It's amazing.
1,000,000 years.
You are not that far off. It's at 800,000 years.
Wow.
With a constant flow of pee. Can you imagine? They said like the human, like we drink a quart or something, and that you have to look at Facto Animation on TikTok. They have the video there. So, yeah, amazing. Question number 2. Okay, this was another TikTok one, and I did vet this one. Which team drafted 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the same draft?
Which team drafted 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the same draft? Okay, let's see here. Boy.
Ooh.
Stop that. Did both quarterbacks play quarterback in the NFL?
No.
Or did they move one of them to a different position or something?
No, they both played quarterback in the NFL, and I'm pretty sure they're both Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Yeah, I said which team drafted 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks? Trophies.
How about someone like Dallas?
Not Dallas.
I was trying to think maybe Dallas would have done it with Staubach, knowing his military commitment, and then maybe they took someone like Don Meredith. How about... I don't know. I'm sure there's like some trick to this that I'm not thinking, like that they drafted them both and then one went on to another franchise, I'm sure.
My wife is going out to buy a crib. Not for the reasons you think. For Beetlejuice, for doing a show. So I'm sorry I missed a lot of what you just said.
No, I was just
Who was your guess?
Talking through my logic.
I got you.
I'll say I really don't know. Same draft. I'll say the Dolphins.
It is not the Dolphins. I can tell you the draft was 1979, if that helps.
49ers?
Nope. It's also a trick question.
Who is it?
The Kansas City Royals, who drafted both Dan Marino in the 4th round and John Elway in the 18th round.
You rotten hell, Max.
Yeah. I got you. Aha.
Tricky Max.
Yeah. There you learned something today. And list-wise, I just thought of this at 9:42 today, so this is not great. In front of me, I have a list of the top 10 highest-grossing movies of all time, according to Wikipedia. And you probably know some of these. So I'm going to give you a chance. How many of the top 10 highest-grossing movies from all time can you name? Because there's a second list after this.
Okay, the first 2 Avatars.
Avatar 1. Is there another Avatar here? Avatar: The Way of the Water. Yes, that's number 3.
And then both Avengers Endgame and Infinity War.
Avengers Endgame is number 2 on the list. And what's the other one you said?
Infinity War.
Yep, that's number 7.
Titanic's probably still up there.
That's number 4.
So I've got 5 of the 10.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. A very fine showing so far. I've never heard of number 5.
Is E.T. still in the mix?
Nope.
Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park. Nope. Right universe. Wrong Jurassic.
Jurassic World?
Jurassic World is number 10.
How about something from Pixar, like Inside Out or Inside Out 2?
Inside Out 2.
Yeah, I knew that made a surprising amount of money.
It made $1.6 billion.
How about
million.
How about Black Panther?
No Black Panther.
How about one of the new Tom Holland Spider-Man, like No Way Home or Home?
No Way Home is number 8.
Okay.
You're missing 5 and 6. And I've heard of 6. I've never heard of 5.
What year is 5?
2025. That's why I've never heard of it. I would go to movies. $2.2 million. $2.2 billion, rather. No, it's not Sinners. It is
the Minecraft movie? But you would have heard of that. You saw it.
Yeah, I like Minecraft. Nope. It was released in January of 2025, if that helps. Budget of $80 million.
January 25, budget $80 million on top 10.
It's an animated movie.
No idea.
Let's see. Chinese animated movie, Niza 2.
Now, is that Niza 2? Is it 2 as in a number or 2 as in...
It's a number. Like, I guess it's the second one in the series. I didn't see Niza 1, so it's probably why I didn't go see 2.
Yeah, I'm not fluent in the Niza-verse.
Yeah. And then number 6 is definitely one Derek and I would have enjoyed watching. We probably watched this during the lockdown when we watched all the other ones.
Oh, it's got to be a Star Wars then.
Yeah, it's The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Yeah, so Force Awakens is number 6 on the list. Now, the thing about the Wikipedia thing, it also tracks the peak of each movie. So you can track, how high you've ever been. So of these lists, or of every movie in existence, which movies have ever peaked at either 1, 2, or 3? So which would have been like on the metal or on the platform. There's 11 of those. 11 have peaked at 1, 2, or 3.
From the list of movies I just...
From any movie ever.
I'm not sure I understand the premise of the question.
So the number 1 all time is Avatar.
Yeah.
So that hit number 1. But there have been other movies to be in that top spot. So think of it like in terms of like I was the champ at one point, but then somebody dethroned me.
So any movie all time that was one of the top 3 grossing movies of history. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. But going back to, I guess the earliest movie was 1997. Because obviously this had to take over something. So since 97, which movies hit 1, 2, or 3 on the list?
So 97, I would say Jurassic Park 2. Titanic. Never mind. 97.
Titanic. So Titanic is on this list because it was number 1 at its peak. It's currently number 4.
Right.
But it was number 1. So that's on the list.
Okay. Then the 2 Avatars, because they were both 1 or 2 all time.
So Avatar is currently number 1. So obviously it's number 1. Avatar Way of the Water, its highest peak is 3. So it's on the list.
And then both Infinity War and Endgame were in competition with Avatar for 1, 2, or 3.
Infinity War did not peak. Let me see here. I didn't link the list because I'm dumb. I just copied and pasted it. So hold on for a second. All time grossing movies Wikipedia, because I can tell you where Endgame peaked. Oh, you said Infinity War, right?
Yeah, Avengers Infinity War.
Infinity War peaked at 4, so it didn't break the top 3. Now, the other one that you said, Endgame, that hit number 1 at some point, so that's on the list. Okay. Avatar has since gone past it, I guess, making more money later.
So then at a certain point, The Force Awakens would have had to have been top 3 of all time.
The Force Awakens peaked at number 3 on the list.
The Chinese movie, did that ever do it?
The highest that movie hit is 5. It has not. It didn't peak at 3.
Nizao.
It's at its current peak right now. So maybe a couple years down the line, when they do better distribution, they'll move up.
What about?
There's one movie from the previous list that's in this list, and then the rest of it are. I mean, one of them is like currently at 49.
Okay. Spider-Man? No
way. Spider-Man topped off at 6.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So I've said the 2 Avatars. I've said Infinity War, Endgame, Force Awakens. Jurassic World?
Jurassic World peaked at 3.
Okay.
Currently 10.
And
I know you know these other movies because I know them. So no more Niza.
Niza 2.
Oh, yes.
So they must be like... What about something like The Dark Knight?
The Dark Knight.
That made like $1,000 million.
The Dark Knight Rises peaked at 7. It's currently at 4. Let me see if the other Dark Knight. For some reason, the Dark Knight's not on the list, but it only goes. This goes to 60.
Okay. What about like one of the Lord of the Rings movies?
Okay, which one?
Fellowship of the Rings.
No.
The Return of the King?
Return of the King peaked at number 2. It's currently 34.
How many do
$1.1 billion.
How many do I have left?
You have 1, 2, 3. You have 4 left. So you got 7 out of 11 so far, which is phenomenal.
What are well? No, if you give me, it's because they're going to be franchise movies. Well, what are the last 4? Because I have to pee really badly.
I'll give you the year: 1999. Star Wars Episode 1.
Okay.
Phantom Menace peaked at 2. In 2012, The Avengers came out.
Oh, sure.
So that peaked at number 3. Harry Potter: The Deathly Hallows Part 2. That peaked at number 3. And then Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest peaked at 3 as well. So there you go.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that performance by me.
No, listen. After the embarrassment of which quarter, all the football teams, and like the guy on TikTok actually, he ran through and he's like, "No, wait a minute, it's not a football team, is it?" And the other guy was like, "Maybe not." I thought I bet you I could get him on this. So,
and you did.
That was a good list showing, though. So,
and now I've got to see a man about filling up the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I mean, 800,000 years. Let's go do our part. Good show. We almost hit 3 hours. I mean, I told you it was going to be heavy because I knew the stuff we were going through. So, everybody out there in the world, hope you have a good weekend. It's Saturday at 1, just a couple hours till Buffalo, Denver. But until then, do your part to